Points when you buy 4 or more Purdy products. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken in time of purchase. See sales associate for details. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts if any. Valid 1/15 through 1/26. Subject to change.
Mr. Clean.
Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's Conversational Radio Show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And what I mean by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you think you could not do before.
Government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Hold on to your butt.
I'm also very much of a germaphobe, by the way.
Shut up, silly woman. You know, they used to say Abraham Lincoln got the worst press. I said, there's no way he got worse than me.
Thank you, Dr. Pepper, and thank you, Chancellor, or Dr. Paper, and thank you, Chancellor.
This is how you conduct yourself in a democracy.
After damning politicians uphill and down dale for many years as rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels, I sometimes suspected, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
I got worms.
I got hairy legs.
This afternoon we've seen a whole lot of table banging.
Hey, listen, I don't mean to be telling tales out of school, but there's a fella in there who'll pay you $10 if you sing into his can. I'm not here to make a record, you dumb cracker. They broadcast me out on the radio.
Joey Clark.
Welcome into News and Views in the afternoon. Welcome to Joey Clark Live here on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment. Plenty to get to today as the New Hampshire primary is already underway. But I have to begin the show, and not like have to, like I'm begrudgingly doing this. I love my favorite part of the week. We have the one, the only Judge Andrew Napolitano on the show, on the stream. Judge, how are you today?
Great, Joey. How are you? And thank you for that kind introduction. It's a very happy time for me as well.
Yes, it's always fun kicking around the news with you, even when the topics are tough and tough to discuss. But let's start with what's happening on the border, and in particular the Texas border. I believe the Supreme Court did a 5-4 ruling where they stopped a lower court's decision that, you know, the federal government had destroyed Texas's property. So as you see this case, as you see what's going on with the border and what Governor Abbott's doing, what the DOJ is saying in response, what do you make of this?
Well, I'm a bit of an outlier when it comes to the whole federal regulation of immigration, because the Constitution only gives the federal government the authority to regulate naturalization, who becomes a citizen. It leaves to the states to decide who can enter. And the state of Texas decided that private property was being destroyed and public safety was being impaired by the massive influx of undocumented persons coming up from the south, unimpeded by the feds. So the state of Texas decided to do something about it. So they put razor wire and other devices to prevent people from crossing in the Rio Grande River. And the feds asked them to take it out. They told the feds to take a hike. The feds sued them. The lower courts ordered it out. And yesterday, the Supreme Court, by a vote of 5-4, refused to get involved. This is just exacerbating a terrible situation. There is a Supreme Court opinion that says that the federal government can control immigration, but it's just the opinion of the justices. It's not based on anything. It's an 1886 opinion that says, well, every country can control its borders and therefore we can control ours. But you can't find that in the Constitution because the framers did not give that authority to the federal government. I don't know that they anticipated a Joe Biden who wants to let everybody in or a Donald Trump who wants to keep everybody out. I don't know what they anticipated, but the federal government is one of limited powers, and the courts don't abide that. Yesterday, this is not a decision on the merits. It's not the final decision in the case. It was just an emergency decision saying that the feds can dismantle the blockades, razor wire and everything else that they put in there, and the state has to stand by and watch them.
But what happens if, say, Governor Abbott tells the Texas National Guard and the state police, don't move, block the feds away? Where do we go?
Then you have what sometimes is called blue on blue, police, or in this case, green on green, military going after Border Patrol. It would be an act of violence, I would imagine, and the state would lose because the Supreme Court has the final say on this. Even when it's wrong, it has the final say. Listen, I know Governor Abbott well, and I know how determined he is to address this problem, but he is a lawyer, and he does know the consequences of the willful violation of a court order. I don't think he wants to see himself or his people in that box. But it is a good question. I'm of the view that the states can leave the union if they want, but Texas particularly,
right?
Because it reserved the right to do so. Since you and I have discussed this before, Joey, Texas and Vermont were independent nations when they joined the union, and they reserved the right to leave. I believe that all states knowingly or unwittingly reserve the right to leave. They join voluntarily, they can leave voluntarily. That's not the law, but that's what I believe is history.
And if folks want to check out kind of a modern day interpretation of Texas secession, I believe Bob Murphy, economist Robert Murphy, has a great short book and take on all of that. Really great stuff, great arguments. And, in terms of the libertarian world on the issue of immigration, I would say for the last few years, maybe Murray Rothbard gets it going in the 90s. But it seems to have been a disagreement over immigration in the society we live in. There are many libertarians, I think, like yourself and myself, that say, hey, if I want to invite my cousin or my friend in or my business partner into this country, who are you, the government, to stop me?
Right.
Then you'll hear the arguments, though, and I think they're good arguments that, open borders is, you would have private property borders. So, yeah, it's one thing to invite somebody in, but the government's inviting in millions of people and then giving them social services that are being paid for by taxes that were taken from me. So we have to shut it down.
That's the problem. A Supreme Court opinion, I think it's called Plyler, Plyler versus where we started, Texas, where the legislature denied public schooling to the children of undocumented immigrants. And the Supreme Court said, as long as you provide public schooling for your children, you have to provide it forever. And, oh, by the way, while you're at it, as long as you provide a safety net for Americans, you have to apply it for everybody. That's the problem right there, is taking from the haves and giving it to the have-nots. If you get rid of that, then those of us who believe that the right to travel is a natural human right, and I can invite my cousins from Florence, I can invite anybody I want onto my private property and the government can't stop me, makes sense. As far as the libertarian world is concerned, there is the Hans Hermann Hoppe, Murray Rothbard, Lou Rockwell school, which says the people can block whoever they want. I always think it's odd for my libertarian friends, particularly my serious libertarian friends,
Right.
like the three of them, although Murray Rothbard is no longer with us, to resort to the government for anything. Then there is the Jacob Hornberger view, which you and I embrace, which is that the right to travel is a natural right. The right to take from the haves What they have and give it to the have-nots is theft. But the right to travel is a natural right. And I don't trust the government with anything, least of all securing the borders. The more political view, the political conservative view, is the Democrats want these people in so as to affect redistricting, and when they take a census, and they want these people ultimately to become Democrats. The other conservative view is this is an invasion, and a lot of these people are druggies and criminals and doing awful things, and we should have the right to stop them. I'd hate to disagree with my conservative brethren, but I think that's a simplification and a disdain of people that are different, which was applied to my grandparents and to anybody who came here and looked a little different when they arrived here.
Oh, with all the Polacks in my family, daggum. Yeah, I'm sure we got it.
I never knew you were Polish.
Yeah, my mother's
What is
maiden
your
name.
real last name?
Mother's maiden name, and I'm now actually living with the guy who gave her that last name, Skinecki. Skinecki. It's a good one. And now, real quick, kind of a point of personal privilege here. And to toot my own horn, it's such a big deal. I'm going to be moderating the Alabama Libertarian Party's presidential debate coming up here at the beginning of February. And I'm not sure if Hornberger will be there, but I think Michael Rectenwald, Chase Oliver, Termott, I believe, will be there. A few folks who are running will be there. And I've been preparing questions. If you could ask all the Libertarian candidates a question, what would you ask them, Judge?
I guess I'd ask them, what is the legitimate role of government in our lives under the non-aggression principle? Now, Rectenwald can certainly answer that. I don't know the others. I like Mike. He could be a little bit more energetic on the campaign trail, but when it comes to understanding philosophy, he certainly understands it. These other names I didn't even recognize. You mentioned Hornberger. Is Jake running?
He's been running, and he was part of a couple debates recently, one in Arizona, one in South Carolina, and he's kind of on the bubble for this Alabama one.
Oh, I am a big fan of Jake. Jake is a true North libertarian. I mean, Jake is more libertarian than Rothbard. It's hard to believe that anybody is, but he is.
From listening to some of these other debates, you're absolutely right. I've never met the man, but I believe I was paid to do a voiceover work for an ad for one of his books. So I guess that's my end with him. But before I let you go, and again, folks,
if you see him, give him my regards. We have been friends for 25 years, and I'm a big fan of his.
Absolutely. And before I let you go, you sent me this morning, and I was able to look over it pretty quickly here before we went on the air. Your op-ed is coming out later in the week. And it's called Government by Experts. And you go in this piece into a lot of the history on how, in particular, it starts with Lincoln, but Wilson really flips the Madisonian system on its head. And one of the worst parts of that is this so-called expert class. I'd imagine this really gets on steroids after World War II under FDR and the national security state, the administrative state as we now know it. But why is it bad to have expert? Why, I don't want to go to my aunt in Nebraska to figure out a global pandemic. Let's go to an expert virologist like Dr. Fauci. What's wrong with experts?
That is the government's argument, to which Justice Scalia said, well, the experts weren't elected. They shouldn't be writing the laws. Only Congress should be writing the laws, because this is a democracy, lowercase d, or a republic, lowercase r, whichever one it is. The people who are writing the laws should have transparency and should have accountability to the voters, and the experts don't. The experts that you're talking about are the administrative state. And in this crazy case, I never heard of this Bureau of Marine Fisheries. They wrote a rule limiting the number of lobsters you can take from the sea. Congress didn't write this. The bureaucrats did. And then they said to commercial fishermen, we're going to put a federal agent on each one of your boats. And then they said to these commercial fishermen, and we're charging you the salary of the federal agent that we put on your boats who will count each of the lobsters you take in. That was the last straw. A group of fishermen in New Jersey and a group of fishermen in Rhode Island challenged this. And of course, they lost in the administrative law courts, which are kangaroo courts. They appealed to the federal appellate courts and they lost because of this thing called the Chevron doctrine. You and I have mentioned this.
Right.
This is a Supreme Court opinion that requires judges to defer to experts in their field and not to second guess them. Well, that was argued before the Supreme Court last week, later on in the week, since you and I were on. And it is clear to me that the Supreme Court's going to throw the Chevron doctrine out. How can you possibly go into court against the federal government and the judge is told to defer to the experts in the federal government? When the government prosecutes you or when you sue the government, you should be equals when you walk in the courtroom. Or if anything, the benefit of the doubt should be against the government with all of its power and all of its might and all of its ability to take freedom from us. The Chevron doctrine turns that on its head. The Chevron doctrine is on life support, thanks to my friend Justice Gorsuch and his colleagues last week. That's why I wrote this piece. The left will be scandalized that their favorite part of government, the part that writes the rules and doesn't have to answer for what they do, it writes the rules, it interprets the rules, it enforces the rules, and it punishes its victims all by itself. What branch of government can do that? It's not in the Constitution. The left will be scandalized when this branch is emasculated. The rest of us will jump for joy and dance for liberty.
Amen. And I think that's a great note to end on. Though, before you go, folks want to check out Judging Freedom podcast. Who do you have coming up this week?
Well, I have my whole crew this week. Today I have Matt Ho and Karen Kwiatkowski and a new guest for us whose colleague Max Blumenthal, has been on with us, Aaron Mate. Aaron is an award-winning American journalist who's been exposing the excesses of the Netanyahu government, much to their chagrin, and I'm looking forward to talking to him about that. How can Netanyahu destroy Hamas and get the hostages back at the same time? Can't be done.
Yeah, you're with Professor Mearsheimer yesterday. Fantastic discussion. I look forward to watching myself, those other guests. Folks, you're not going to find what you find on Judging Freedom, the Judges podcast. You're not going to find on mainstream media, whether it's Russia, whether it's Israel, or so much going on in the world. And that's a small reason. There are a lot of reasons, big and small, why it's such a great show. And it's always a great time talking to you, Judge. Really
Thank you,
appreciate
Joey. All the best to you, my friend. Until next Tuesday.
Yes, sir. God bless.
And back to you.
Again, folks, that's Judge Andrew Napolitano. Really great having him on the program every week, Tuesdays at noon. Before we hit this break, this part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. Men, you need to listen up because they're at Montgomery Men's Health. Well, they can help men out on some common problems that often come up in the course of life. It could be, something like low testosterone. It could be something even more intimate when it comes to the bedroom, like ED. Yeah, it's called erectile dysfunction. It's no fun. And, if you're a guy and you're going through something like this, well, you don't have to live this way. And it's nothing to be ashamed about. And, of course, it's nothing to let wait. Like, oh, it's just a problem I got to live with. No, you can get to Montgomery Men's Health, and they can help you out. Yeah, I know guys don't like going to the doctor. I don't like going to the doctor, but Montgomery Men's Health was created to take care of guys just like us. So if you're noticing no motivation, lack of energy, you're always tired, perhaps you're seeing unwanted weight gain, loss of muscle mass, feels like you're going through life in a fog, well, it could be low T. Knowing whether or not you have low testosterone is crucial to combating some of these issues. So at Montgomery Men's Health, the providers there will conduct a lab test that will be testosterone focused and give you a consultation, that lab work and that consultation to check out your testosterone levels, only $99. And their treatments there, if you do have low T at Montgomery Men's Health, can truly change your life. Most men after these treatments experience higher energy, better gains in the gym, brother, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, a faster metabolism, and you usually even notice an increased libido. Your wife will thank you. So you can actually book the same day you call. Guys, it's time to feel amazing and hit your goals this year. That number for Montgomery Men's Health, 440-3663. That's 440-3663. Or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com and be sure to tell them that Joey from News and Views in the afternoon sent you. Well, like I said, there's plenty to get to today. But the big news is Nikki Haley won the first votes in New Hampshire. There's one little township there in New Hampshire called Dixville Notch. Well, Nikki Haley blew away the competition in Dixville Notch. She pulled off a huge upset. How many votes did she win by? How many votes did Nikki Haley knock off Donald Trump by? 6. She won Dixville Notch by 6 votes, 6-0. Can we even really call that a town? 272-9228. New Hampshire primary tonight. We should start to see the results. Trump going for a knockout blow there in the New Hampshire primary. Plenty of clips to get to as well, including Nikki Haley getting a little feisty with the Fox and Friends folks there in the morning. An amazing Politico write-up about a particular voter in New Hampshire who thought, well, you need to come together. I'm interested in Nikki Haley. I'm interested. And then, no, I'm going with Trump. Why are you going with Trump? I thought you were going to go with somebody. I'm going with Trump because our system needs to be broken, and Trump is the man to do it. I don't know if this New Hampshire guy listens to my show, or is it just the zeitgeist now? He literally uses the phrase I've been using now for a year or two, wrecking ball politics, and Trump is our wrecking ball. So we'll get into what changed that fella's mind. I think it is a remarkable actual job of reporting by Politico, because this guy represents a lot of people. I'll put it that way. I think he represents a lot of voters. A guy who voted for Barack Obama twice. A guy who voted for Donald Trump twice. Yeah, they exist. A lot of them are out there. And of course, we're going to get into the latest when it comes to what's happening on the border fight there with Texas. The Congressional Budget Office is now reporting that the Biden administration released 6.2 million illegals into the United States in the past 3 years using a parole loophole. Well, isn't that special? While senators are rushing to finish a border deal, they think they have it in principle, everything all worked out, but they're rushing to do it so they can give Ukraine more of your money for Ukraine to not win. There's a lot to get to, is my point. And don't forget also, at 2 o'clock, candidate for Congress in District 2, Caroline Dobson, should be in the studio. Look forward to talking to Caroline again. And be sure to tune in at 2 o'clock and call in to get your questions in. For this break, let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Hey, Joey, it's Bill.
Hey, Bill. How you doing?
I'm great. Where's Eddie today?
He is... No, he's been getting his ducks in a row outside of the radio studio for the past few weeks, taking a couple days off. He's got to make that paper. Okay. You know, I can attest, radio doesn't pay that well. I mean, it's enough, but...
Well, you know, if Trump goes through and wins the nomination and then goes on and becomes president again, I wonder how long it's going to take for the director of the FBI and the CIA to get shown the door this time.
Well, and I think it needs to be more than just the heads of those organizations. I think Trump needs to give Vivek Ramaswamy a big old hug and be like, Vivek, whisper into my ear all your plans to dismantle these agencies. I think you got to go for the jugular, because just, you know, he fired Comey, and who did he hire? Well, Ray. Is it really an improvement?
Yeah, I think he'll go in this time, and I think he'll have a different approach.
I agree. Well, and I appreciate it, Bill, and I get that from folks who, like Judge Napolitano and many others who've been around Trump, where Trump, I think, will admit when it's not some gotcha moment. Oh, look, he's actually saying something. No. In candid conversation, Trump will fully admit he made a lot of mistakes. He was very naive about how Washington, D.C. works in general and how it would work with him in particular. And I think that's what scares so many folks who are now saying Trump's going to be a dictator and whatnot. He's going to get rid of all the gay people or something like that. I think Whoopi Goldberg said that the other day. We've come a long way from Sister Act, haven't we, sister? But we'll see where all this goes. Again, 272-9228. More news and views in the afternoon after this.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
This is your roving reporter, and today I am talking with an elk. Hey man, Mr. Elk, I was just wondering, what do elk do to take care of their money? Well, like most smart folks, we call David Ernest. You mean Alabama's most favorite asset preservationist? That's him, man. We call him up at 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. I see. Yes, he is our preferred money man. The money man with the money plan. You've been paying attention. Well, could you give us those numbers one more time? 334-279-7431 or 205-479-0839. And I just want to try to give you a heads up, man. Oh, what's that? I'm not an elk. Not an elk, huh? Well, then, pray tell, what are you? Knights of Columbus. I am not even going to make a comment. Well, the baby liked it.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark, 272-9228 if you want to join the conversation. Or you can always like and subscribe, Joey Clark Live on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and comment. Got a few comments rolling in here. Randall asking, what will happen to the CDC if the Chevron doctrine is struck down? Good things, Randall. I mean, you could say disease and destruction, but that already happened on their watch. The black shirt has a slimming effect, says the Romex Angler, but I knew there was a big hairy butt coming around the corner. At the same time, makes your head look huge. Well, that's how I like it. It's all, perspective, like forced perspective. It's how it makes you make it look bigger. Let's go to GW. Hey, GW, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'd like to hear your comments and your listeners' comments pertaining to something I always harp on. You've got many issues that the president, say President Trump, would face that everyone said that is important. With foreign policy, stopping wars, the southern border, which is just as important. But one thing that everyone says, all the politicians, Nikki Haley included, you want to bring unity. We got so much division, and Trump is a divisive person. And I said this to Dan Morris when he was on that radio station, that when he comes in, he needs to prosecute Hillary, needs to try to get that exposed and bring about a proper prosecution. But it was always, well, there's so many more important things on the table. But I personally feel that as an important issue, as all the other issues, is bringing about the prosecution of actual criminal conduct and exposing the things that were done wrong. And I'm going to use the Biden name, because if you do not do that, that in and of itself is divisive. If you have a large segment of the population, and it's harped on it at all the news stations, even your radio stations, all the rules are for thee, but not me.
Right.
All the laws are for thee, but not me. How that is so divisive when you see the elite or the people that have power get away with the things that the just normal person will not get away with. If someone like Trump can pull back the veil of secrecy and have them brought to some kind of accountability, then you can restore some type of trust and a healing process. Because as long as you have that open wound that all these people in the political power and all the elites get away with, when and you're only talking about 1% of the people, not even 1%. You're talking about 0.05% of the population are in that category. As long as they get away with everything else, and Vigil gets away with, if he's caught for some type of tax fraud and he gets thrown in prison, and somebody like Biden gets away with everything, that's divisive. And that will, it's an open sore, it's an open wound, and it will always be that way. And actually, that would bring people together, because you always have that percentage that says, no, don't prosecute them because they're Democrats. But when something is ultimately exposed, and we'll just use a divorce, for instance, when you got photographs of the wrongdoings of the victimizer, you can't deny it.
Right.
You know, and so, and then you can begin a healing process. As long as you have lives that are not exposed, you'll never heal. You'll never get over it.
Well, and I get the point, GW, and I think my response would be, we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. I think division's coming either way. Whether you, to your point, I think it is disheartening, and thus creates division and lack of togetherness when you see folks do awful things and they get away with it scot-free and then pretend to be the greatest people on earth on the right side of history, and you're a bigot for even trying to mess with me and my plans to save the human race. But I think if you go after them, you're going to end up causing a lot of division. In a way, I think you have to create a win situation that's so big that it almost resets the table, if that makes any sense. You would need, right, you would need a like Reagan, even Nixon style victory to really come in and start to clear house. If somebody can be proved that they violated the law in heinous ways, and that can be brought up in front of a grand jury and then at actual court, do it. But I think
the best example, Mendez.
Right.
Mendez has
Right.
been caught red-handed. I mean, the FBI's conviction rate when they bring you to trial, 98%, 98 to 99%. But you still have him as a sitting senator with a vote, and the Democratic Party rallies around him, the senators and the congressmen. So, but and again, I understand. Initially, yes, it's very divisive to do
Right.
something like that, but you cannot, under any circumstances, begin to bring people together until that's put to rest. Good example, you can't have someone that's a preacher in a church and telling you one thing on Sunday, how to follow God's law, when he in turn might be committing adultery. The Bible's clear on that. It causes division in churches when you take a pastor and kick him out. But if there's something wrong, you've got to cut it out.
Right.
If not, it won't ever grow right.
Yeah, you can't give mercy all the time, but I think also let's not kid ourselves that first you have justice and then you have mercy. There are actually old stories, I think, when Caesar essentially conquers Rome, takes out Pompey, and then takes out his other enemies. He has this opportunity where they find this chest where it's all this correspondence of all the conspirators and the people working against him. And that would have been like gold. And the classic rule in politics is what? Benefit your friends, punish your enemies. So he had the correspondence of all his enemies, and Caesar's response when one of his generals comes up and says, hey, let's use this stuff, is burn it. And because to bring people together at a certain point, you can't keep tearing open the old wounds that are starting to scab open to the past. That's one part of why what the left is bringing up is so obnoxious. At a certain point, it has to be day zero. And does that begin with justice for certain folks? Absolutely. But I would much be happier with saying, like what Vivek Ramaswamy said, let's take down 75% headcount reduction of the pink slips are a better idea to be than courtrooms necessarily.
Well, yeah. But now you take people that have been in charge and brought about the false prosecutions of some people, say Donald Trump, should have bought him out, or people that, and I'll go back to Hillary Clinton, just flat out planted lies. They destroyed evidence at the with the consent of the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
They destroyed it. I mean, those people should have been brought to justice. But like Trey Galley said, nobody will ever be held accountable. Nobody. I mean, you've got to have accountability, and I agree with you. You know, you say you got to rip off old scabs, and you can't keep doing that, but you got to clean the wound out and get rid of all the infection before you can heal. If you don't get rid of the infection, you're basically just going to die and get sepsis, and it won't ever get right. So,
correct.
I mean, I think although people say we want to prevent World War III, which we do, and we want to prevent, we want to close the southern border, which, God, man, that would save billions of dollars if they would just secure that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the health care. I mean, I don't see why people can't understand that, but again, there's so much political corruption going on. I mean, you could actually declare war against the cartels and go in there with the military and wipe them out, regardless of what Mexico says. Because they're the ones. I mean, you could.
No, you could. But again, there's so much that's rotten with DC. And it's not even necessary. There are bad people up there, clearly, but it's not even that everybody's bad. They aren't. It's the incentives, and everybody wants to manage problems now. So let's manage the border. Let's manage Yemen and the Middle East. Let's manage Russia and China. And it's like, no, why don't we actually solve a damn problem every once in a while?
Well, you can't. El Chapo, it came out, the Mexican president, before the one you have in now,
right?
It came out, he had $100 million from El Chapo.
Right.
You think he's going to enforce any type of border security? No. I mean, not $100 million. You got no one's going to do anything if you give them $100 million.
But GW, your call's right on the money, because coming up, I've got this. Our system needs to be broken. He's the man to do it. It's this voter in New Hampshire named Ted Johnson. He thought, he went to Nikki Haley events. He's like, he voted for Barack Obama twice, Trump twice. Was thinking, but as time has gone on, he is now clearly in the Trump camp. I think he literally says he's a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what he wants. It's what I want. I think it's what a lot of folks want. You got to get this out of the way.
You got to have billionaires against billionaires. That's the only way to do it. That's the only way to do it. And again, that's look at the percentages. You only have 0.0025% of the people in the world are billionaires.
All right. Only a few thousand of them,
Yeah. Take care.
Appreciate it, GW. 272-9228. This part of the program brought to you by Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group. And there at the Goodson Group, Bo and his team are ready to help you out, whether you're looking to buy or sell here in the River Region real estate market. Bo's been helping buyers and sellers in the Montgomery and surrounding areas for over 40 years, 4+ decades of experience, folks. They're just for Bo himself. And the Goodson Group, not only can they help you with buying or selling a property, they have management services available should you want to rent out your home. Really great service they offer there. And the Goodson Group is also the home of the Bo Goodson Real Estate School, one of the most highly acclaimed and accredited real estate school programs here in the great state of Alabama. So check out the Goodson Group today. You can always go to thegoodsongroup.com or give them a call, 551-0225. That's 551-0225. Bo Goodson and the Goodson Group, great sponsor of News and Views in the afternoon. More after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Who's there? It's Bill, the electrician, here to make your home burglar-proof. Oh, thank goodness. I thought maybe you were an intruder. No, ma'am. I'm a burglar's worst nightmare.
If your house doesn't have sufficient outdoor lighting, it's a prime target for intruders. That's why you should call Crosby Electric today.
How's it going, Bill? Just fine, ma'am. See, when your intruder trips this wire, it grabs him by the foot and hangs him upside down. Really?
The experts at Crosby Electric will install lighting that not only discourages intruders, but also makes it safer for you and your guests to navigate around steps, pools, and other tripping hazards.
Bill, is that contraption safe? Oh, sure. It's disarmed now, but... Bill, like I said, I'm a burglar's worst nightmare. I see. You mind cutting me down, ma'am?
Avoid your worst nightmare. Call the outdoor lighting experts at Crosby Electric or visit crosbyelectric.com.
Hey there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. Our partnership with Blue Water Broadcasting has reached thousands of listeners in the River region. People listen, people call. Now, there's mortgage savings for us all.
Radio works. It's as simple as that. Call us to find out how radio can work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting. Local folks helping local business.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Rich Thomason. The United Airlines CEO is frustrated by ongoing manufacturing problems at Boeing and says his airline will consider alternatives to buying a future, larger version of the Boeing 737 MAX. United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby tells CNBC that Boeing needs to take real action to restore its previous reputation for quality. A mixed open on Wall Street ahead of a slew of corporate earnings reports. This week brings a rush of companies reporting their results for the last 3 months of 2023, with roughly 70 companies from the S&P 500 on the calendar. Verizon jumped almost 5% in pre-market after it beat revenue and adjusted profit expectations. General Electric slipped 3.5% after reporting better than expected fourth-quarter results but delivering a tepid forecast. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Rich Thomason.
Rich Thomas Weather, a service of Riverside Chevrolet Wetumpka. If it's Chevy, it's Riverside. Best price, best selection. Check them out on the web at riversideusa.net.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Hi, everybody. Our big temperature turnaround is now very noticeable. Today's high temperature up to about 66. Pretty nice. Risk of showers by this afternoon. Scattered showers around at night tonight. Boy, oh boy, the overnight low temperature down to about 58. Very mild. Tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, high temperature each day in the lower 70s. But it'll be wet and stormy at times with showers and thunderstorms and locally heavy rainfall amounts. And even more storms on Saturday with a high near 70. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
ASE Credit Union makes auto loans easy with rates as low as 4.75% APR. Apply online or visit your local branch today. Federally insured by the NCUA, Equal Opportunity Lender.
ASE Credit Union. Your life, your goals, your ASE.
Sometimes you need things done around your house or land that your lawnmower or weed eater just can't handle. That's when you call Prattville Farm Center. They bring their own crew and equipment and clear whatever you need. They say no job is too small. I've been going to Prattville Farm Center for years, and I like dealing with hometown folks. They get the job done right and get it done quickly. If you have land that needs clearing, call Randy at Prattville Farm Center on South Memorial Drive in Prattville. Call 365-5400.
Whether you're buying a home or auto or consolidating debt, CB&S Bank's personal loans get you where you need to go. Go to cbsbank.com to find a location near you or apply online today. All loans subject to credit approval, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
The River Region's first and only news talk station on FM. Live, local talk. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to it. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation over the phone lines, or you can always go to the live stream. Joey Clark Live on YouTube, as well as on the Book of Faces or the X platform. And we'll check it out. Like and subscribe and jump in on the comment section if you like. Now, as I was mentioning there with GW, I have to give Politico some credit here, but let's give a particular reporter. His name's Michael Cruz. He is doing this reporting, and it's been over a few weeks and months now. But it's this, Ted Johnson told me. This is how the story starts. This, Ted Johnson told me, is what I hope. We were here the other day at a bar not far from his house, and we were talking about Donald Trump and the possibility that Trump could be president again by this time next year. He breaks the system, said Ted Johnson. He exposes the deep state, and it's going to be a miserable 4 years for everybody. For everybody? Everybody. For you? I think his policies are going to be good, but it's going to be hard to watch this happen to our country. He's going to pull it apart. The notion that somebody might wish for the country's dismantling would sound shocking coming from anybody, but it was especially jarring coming from Johnson because, well, at a Nikki Haley town hall event at a VFW in the nearby area in the first week of September, Johnson stood up and asked Nikki Haley a question. He introduced himself as an independent voter, a retired soldier, and said it felt like the nation was in a civil war and that some of his neighbors would hate him if he so much as put up a sign for her in his yard. On his mind, too, was his estrangement from his older brother, a rift the former president had done nothing but widen. He wanted to hear Haley's plan to, quote-unquote, pull us all back together. Haley, at that moment, was beginning to become the top non-Trump pick in the Republican primary process, slowly, steadily replacing Ron DeSantis. So Johnson's journey from the VFW last fall to how he says he set to vote this week, a 4.5 month turnabout from literally wanting to pull us back together to literally wanting to pull it apart, offers as instructive an insight as I've yet encountered into how on earth we are where we are. Trump could be just a disgraced ex-president facing prison. Instead, at least for now, he is a durably dominant political force credibly eyeing a return to the White House. And if Trump wins in New Hampshire on Tuesday, the polls, yeah, Trump's going to win. And if he beats Joe Biden come November, and the polls say he certainly might, it will be because of Johnson and the many thousands of others like him who looked for ways to quit Trump but ultimately didn't, and haven't. And not remotely reluctantly, but with an explicit sense of vengeance. He's a wrecking ball, Johnson told me here at the place he chose called the Copper Door. Everybody's going to say Trump is divisive, and he's going to split the country in half. He looked at me. We got it. That's what Ted Johnson, the Ted Johnsons of the world, want. Well, in a way, that's what I think a lot of people want. And I think there are a lot of folks who look at how Trump has been treated since day one, and it has opened their eyes to a system they never really noticed before. A system that is one part government, one part private institutions and non-governmental organizations. It's this sort of dispersed network of interest and activists, donors, and well, people that just want to change the world and be on the right side of history. And it's a system that drapes itself in the phrasing of democracy, wrongfully calls the country a democracy, and then operates as a bunch of technocratic experts who get to tell the people that actually vote, who supposedly are, have freedom in this country, how they will live. And we're going to regulate everything about your life from cradle to grave. Well, there are a lot of us who are tired of this unaccountable, unelected oligarchy. And really, it is rich. There's a tweet from Hillary Clinton yesterday. Trump is praising dictators. Putin, who's killed more people, Vladimir Putin or Hillary Clinton, by her actions in government? Let's just take Libya, Hillary. I don't care if you're a dictator or if you're some corrupt oligarch. The delta between how evil both of you are is negligible. You're screwing over people. You're getting thousands of people killed by your policy actions, but you act like you have on this moral high horse. Oh, we're so much better because we're a democracy, though we're not really a democracy. When's the last time Hillary Clinton was elected to anything? And yet she continues to be, a spokesperson. All these people just pop up. They're great spokespeople for this democracy that's not really a democracy. And so, the Ted Johnsons of the world and so many others would like to see this system wrecked. They're tired of it. They're tired of the double standards. They're tired of rules for me, but not, rules for thee, but not for me. They're tired of this idea of some animals are more equal than others. And, Orwell summed it up so beautifully in that phrase from Animal Farm. Because it's not just, it'd be one thing if a person said outright, I'm better than you. I'm a king, essentially. I'm a noble. I'm better than you. Know your place, peasant. It'd be one thing if a person told you that. It's a whole other thing for somebody to walk around and go, we're all equal. We're all equal in this country. Well, some of us are more equal. Same effect, but much more dishonest. And seriously, where we are. Dishonesty without any result. Dishonesty that blinds people to the exact crap and ruin they have left the working class in middle America. Dishonesty and, yes, pride. Dishonesty and a lot of money at stake, too. Don't forget the mercenary impulse. So, here to Ted Johnson. For instance, this reporter asked him, what happened? And this is why I love this guy. So you do your own reading and your own research, and you're like, what the hell's happening in this country? He told me. Ted Johnson told me about one of his last conversations with his brother. He's now estranged from, Fred, who's very much an anti-Trump guy. He goes, well, what do you think about January 6th? And I said, I thought it was Patriots Day. And we talked about polling. Trump's going to win, man. He told me, I've been watching the news tonight, and I was like, holy shaving cream. He's 10 points ahead of Biden. So I was totally surprised by the text I got earlier this month, but it was still kind of remarkable. Go with Trump, Johnson told me. He referred to Haley as a flip-flop rhino. He said she speaks to one side, then to the other, and thinks we're not paying attention. Republicans are just as crappy as Democrats, and Trump, he said, is really the new third party. And I think we're all Ted Johnson. Our system needs to be broken, and Trump is the man to do it. In particular, when this reporter presses Ted Johnson, on January the 6th, and Johnson says, January 6th was staged. Johnson says the Democratic Party, Nancy Pelosi. Did you always think that? Johnson says, well, at first I thought January 6th was bad until Time came on and I started to watch. What were you watching? One of those crazy right-wing shows? Were you listening to talk radio? And Johnson says, what were you watching? He goes, the hearings. The actual hearings convince you not that it was very terrible, that it was a setup, Johnson. chimed in. They cherry-picked what they wanted to show. They cherry-picked what Trump actually said. Here for Ted Johnson. He's been saying for a while, don't completely stop watching the corporate press. Just don't trust them anymore. And in fact, once you start watching their product and all these presentations for what they are, shows, glitz and glam, meant to get the powerful people more power, keep them there, well, you start to see through this crap. So good on Ted. Average 58-year-old guy. He's done all right in this world. Army veteran. Well, I think there are a lot of people like Ted Johnson who want to see a wrecking ball brought because they're tired of, well, all of it. Let our yeses be yeses and our noes be noes. Let's get things aligned. Because right now, our government, it's like, when you go to an eye exam, things ain't lining up. And for a country that's supposed to be a shining beacon on the hill, it isn't what Reagan thought, it isn't what John Winthrop thought. We're becoming a rotting, festering example of decadence and how a really good idea gets screwed up by entitled losers who inherited everything they have and don't know how to actually use it. And so they squander it, feasting on the bones of their fathers. And on that happy note, we have to hit our top of the hour break. But first, this part of the program brought to you by James Cole and Cole Plumbing. And there at Cole Plumbing, James and the team are ready to help you out, especially if you have an emergency need. Some people, Eddie was showing me photos of somebody who had a burst pipe situation. It's awful. I didn't know how bad it could be. Like, I knew the water was a problem, and water damage is terrible. Like, it really, especially if it goes untreated, unfixed. Like, if it remains a broken situation, that's a very expensive thing and can really ruin your home and especially your living experience in that home. So whether you have a burst pipe inside or outside your house, it's good to know that Cole Plumbing has this proprietary pipelining technology that allows them with minimal discomfort to you in your home to get in there to solve that problem without tearing out a bunch of drywall or tearing out a, big trench or digging up a huge hole in your yard. Now, with precision and expertise, they can get that job done. It can also help you with everyday plumbing problems from clogged drains to low water pressure to even tree root invasion. Maybe you got a sump pump in a basement that ain't working. They can do it all there at Cole Plumbing. Maybe you even want to upgrade to a tankless water heater system. Again, they can do it all. So check them out today. You can always go to coleplumbing.com or give them a call at 279-8919. That's 279-8919. And just remember, folks, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Donald Trump eyeing a win in New Hampshire's Republican primary in his first one-on-one contest against Nikki Haley. While Haley is seeking to capitalize on her strength with independent and anti-Trump voters eager for a fresh voice to lead the party. President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris will be in Virginia today as they campaign for abortion rights, a top issue for Democrats. Russian missiles targeting 3 Ukrainian cities, including its 2 biggest, damaging apartment buildings and killing at least 7 people. The attack came hours after Moscow shunned any deal backed by Kyiv and its Western allies, aimed at ending the nearly 2-year-old war. The Dow is 142 points in the red, but the Nasdaq ahead 20 points. This is SRN News.
The new FedNow system is paving the way for the digital dollar. It grants the government unprecedented access to your financial transactions. This isn't just an invasion of privacy. It's a direct assault on your liberty and hard-earned money. It's another reason why I recommend physical gold IRAs from the Birch Gold Group. I'm Lance Wallnow. I'm a news analyst and a podcaster with nearly 25 million downloads to people just like you who cherish their financial independence. A precious metals IRA can help you avoid the scrutiny of Big Brother while also preserving your retirement savings through almost anything, including economic crashes, political instability, and even hyperinflation. To find out more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word FAITH to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and see how a gold IRA can help you. Text FAITH to 989898. Remember, there's no strings attached. Text FAITH to the number 989898 right now, and I pray you're blessed with continued prosperity.
Rich Thomas weather brought to you by Wiley Sanders Truck Lines. Truckers, if you are looking for green grass, contact Wiley Sanders Truck Lines. In business since 1959 and still growing. Call today, 855-777-9785.
Hi, everybody. Our big temperature turnaround is now very noticeable. Today's high temperature up to about 66. Pretty nice. Risk of showers by this afternoon. Scattered showers around at night tonight. Boy, oh boy, the overnight low temperature down to about 58. Very mild. Tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, high temperature each day in the lower 70s. But it'll be wet and stormy at times with showers and thunderstorms and locally heavy rainfall amounts. And even more storms on Saturday with a high near 70. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
For the lowest prices around on flooring and DIY flooring installation supplies, Budget Floors and More is your new best friend. Luxury vinyl plank, carpet, ceramic tile, floor installation supplies, and more with prices lower than the big box stores. Budget Floors and More, Hunter Lane across from Del Rey Publix.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, here's today's top stories. Montgomery police are investigating a single vehicle accident which left a man dead. Police were called around 9:44 p.m. Friday to the area of Jackson Ferry Road and Forbes Drive regarding an accident. The driver, 56-year-old Thazelle Tucker of Montgomery, was pronounced deceased at the scene. Governor Kay Ivey joined with lawmakers and dozens of local students and parents to kick off National School Choice Week on the state capitol steps Monday. The Alabama Opportunity Scholarship Fund hosted the event to push for more school choice ahead of the state's upcoming legislative session. A 68-year-old Alabama man who has spent the last 10 years in prison for the crime of growing marijuana was denied parole last week. In 2013, Leon Hotchkiss was sentenced to 40 years in prison for growing 5.5 pounds of marijuana on his property in Baldwin County. His next parole hearing won't be until 2028. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Don't you love the feeling of coming home to a clean house? Let Southern Bell's cleaning service get your home in order. Families in the River region trust Southern Bell's because they know Callan and Jesse will show up on time and believe in cleaning the old-fashioned way. They bring all their own supplies and specialize in full-service, residential, commercial, vacant properties, and construction cleanup. Estimates are always free. Call Southern Bells today at 546-0715 or follow them on Facebook at Southern Bells Cleaning River Region.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's news and views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. And without further ado, it's time for another regular guest, somebody I'm very happy to see every once in a while. I mean, I'd love to see her every week, but, you know, she's busy. She's got a whole busy life, career, family, but Madeline Cannon in the studio with us from Alabama Home Mortgage. How you doing today, Madeline?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing all right. I'm surviving Miss Eddie, as always.
Of course.
And, you know, and like, I know how much y'all get along famously, and he's not here today.
I know. Well, he's busy out doing the real estate thing, so hopefully he'll bring some buyers to Alabama Home Mortgage.
One of the best things to do when he's not here is just to talk about him, how we're doing right now. It drives him nuts. It's great.
Hey, Eddie, if you're listening.
So tell me, how's it going at Alabama Home Mortgage?
Great. Things have started to pick up. Of course, we kind of touched on this a couple weeks ago, how interest rates have come down a little bit. So those people that were sitting on the fence about purchasing or refinancing are starting to reach out and take advantage of those savings. So I know we typically like to talk about purchases because that's kind of the sexier side of the mortgage industry. But refinancing, it's still a great time to do that. And there's two different types of refinancing. You know, we talk about the rate term refinance, which means you're just simply refinancing what you owe on your mortgage. And then we often talk about a cash out refinance where you not only refinance the terms of your mortgage, but you get additional funds you need to either fund home improvements, debt consolidate, whatever you can dream, you can do with that money. It's yours.
Wow. Okay. So wait, what's one of the biggest forms of debt? Credit cards, of course.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine, well, sometimes people buy a boat and that's just a mistake, or a BMW. But, well, student loans are a problem these days, right?
Right. So I don't know if you know this, but 1 in 5 Americans have student loan debt. So 20% of the American population is carrying federal student loan debt. And the average student loan debt is $37,000. So yeah, a lot of people have, taken advantage of those last 3 years where the student loan payments were on hold. You're kind of in one of two camps. Either you took advantage of the no interest and really tackled that student loan debt, either got rid of it altogether or chipped away at it, or you took those 3 years to maybe take those funds that ordinarily would have been earmarked for your student loan payments and did something else with them. So I'm talking to those people right now. You can, if you own a home, now do a rate term refinance. I did not say that incorrectly. Okay. That is the only situation that they will allow you to do a rate term refinance as opposed to a cash out to pay student loans off. Why does that matter? The difference. Yeah. Okay. The loan to value. So on a cash out refinance, you're capped at 80% of your appraised value. If we do a rate term refinance to pay off the student loans now that they allow for, we can go all the way up to 95% of your home's value.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So before you may not have been in an equity position to be able to tackle those student loan debts, but now since they're treating it as a rate term, you may have enough to cover both that mortgage and your student loans. Also, you get the benefit of a rate term rate. So typically a cash out refinance is going to carry a higher interest rate. So now you're getting the benefit of paying off your student loans, but you're also getting that rate term rate instead of a cash out rate.
Okay. And I'd imagine, a lot of folks don't know about this.
No, I mean, it's kind of a hidden gem of sorts. A lot of people think that, student loans, you're stuck with them. I'm never going to pay them off. But this is a way to pay them off once and for all, have one payment instead of what I call, a lot of people's student loan payments is their second mortgage because those minimum payments are the size of a mortgage. And the crazy thing about student loans is you can't bankrupt on them. So by refinancing and paying them off, you're putting yourself in a better financial position.
Well, and really, somebody can come to you and say, I want help. I heard you on the radio, I want help to get rid of these student loans. And so somebody needs to just bring their mortgage information, kind of what's going on.
Yeah, pick up your mortgage statement, your most recent mortgage statement. Give me a call at the office, 567-4223. We'll get started and come up with a game plan specific to you.
And last time you were here, we were saying it's your money too. Like it could be for whatever.
You don't have to just pay off student loans. Student loans is a new niche, for that rate term program. But if you have other debts you want to pay off, we can do a cash out refinance all day long.
Well, there you go. And of course, let's remind folks if they're looking to buy a home for the first time, I think y'all are the best. And if it's not their first rodeo, I've heard horror stories. I'm like, well, you obviously didn't work with Kim and Madeline at Alabama Home Mortgage.
That's right. So whether it's your first time purchasing a home or your 10th time purchasing a home, we really pride ourselves in making it as easy as possible.
Well, there you go. We can hit a break and reset, but you can stick around a little while.
I'd be happy to.
And again, that number for Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Or you can always go online to myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference.
There is a difference in mortgage companies.
NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender. We'll be right back, folks, after this very quick break.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Make 2024 the year you break away from the chain stores and join us here at Adams Drugs. We value your business and want to provide you the best customer service at the lowest possible price. We've been serving up excellent customer service here in the River region for over 62 years.
I made the swap to Adams Drugs and I couldn't be happier. Having a job and then getting 3 kids to all of their activities keeps me busy. I don't have an hour to waste waiting on a prescription. At Adams, they know me and my family. I get in and out in minutes, and when I can't get by Adams, they'll bring the prescription right to my door.
What are you waiting for? Come in to Adams Drugs and let us earn your business. Our friendly and personal staff will talk with you and answer any questions you may have about your prescriptions. Your satisfaction is our #1 goal. Visit us at adamsdrugs.net for the location nearest to you. Adams Drugs is your local independent Health Mart pharmacy. Health Mart, taking the time to listen and care.
Hey there, River Region area. Dawson Electric hopes you had an amazing Christmas and a fantastic New Year. As we step into 2024, it's time to tackle those resolutions and make sure your home or business is in tip-top shape. And for all your electrical needs, there's one name you can trust, Dawson Electric. Whether you're planning a remodel, constructing a new home, or require service for your existing electrical systems, Dawson Electric has got you covered. Need emergency generators installed? Looking to enhance your outdoor space with stunning landscape lighting? Dawson Electric is the answer. We do it all for homes and commercial spaces alike. For more information, you can find us on Facebook. Search for Dawson Electric Company, LLC. Hit the like button and stay connected with us. We're happy to speak with you at any time. Just call 334-270-8024. Say it with me. That's 334-270-8024. For all your electrical service needs for home or business, call us at Dawson Electric. Dawson Electric, lighting up your world.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values.
The Health and Wealth Show. The Health and Wealth Show. The show so nice, we said it twice. Weekday evenings at 6 on News Talk 93.1 WACV. The Health.
Break it up, son. Joke's over, hey?
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Live, local talk. The River Region's most trusted voice for news and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. I'm your host, Joey Clark. Madeline Cannon sticking around here. And again, coming up in the 2 o'clock hour, we have Caroline Dobson. She's a candidate for Congress District 2. Have you had a chance to meet Caroline Dobson, Madeline?
I have not yet.
Yeah, she's, I've been impressed with her. Only met her once, but so far so good. And she's in that race. It's going to be pretty competitive. Dick Brubaker.
That's right.
And
you had him on the show last week.
Yes.
Yep.
And Greg Albritton, which I'm still more than happy to have Greg on the show, and Caroline Dobson. And that's going to be the heck of a race because there's not just competition in the primary right now. There's going to be competition. It's a true competitive general election. So I look forward to talking to Caroline Dobson at the 2 o'clock hour. So we were talking off mic, Madeline, that, yesterday, we were talking about the Veep stakes and who's going to be Trump's VP. Is it going to be Vivek? Is it going to be like Tim Scott? Or who's it going to be? And Nikki Haley. Oh, God forbid. Trump, I think, put that to bed. I mentioned in passing, why not Katie Britt?
Right. And now everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, apparently Newsmax's Mark Halperin came out with a big statement saying he believes that Britt could be one of the top ones. Here, I'll just read his quote. Quote, I think Katie Britt is going to be who Trump picks. I'm going all in on that, Halperin said on Newsmax's Wake Up America. I just think you compare her to the other alternatives. Her upsides are huge. Her downsides are very minimal. And above all else, she can go into the suburbs of Philly, Atlanta, Milwaukee, and Phoenix. Most of the other people who are talked about would have trouble doing that. And she speaks fluent MAGA, Halperin said. And so far, Senator Britt has not. I'm smiling, folks, because the picture 1819 News chose to go with this. It's almost like a very smug, triumphant Senator Brett.
Oh, wow. I don't think that's really reflective of her.
No, because I haven't
She's
heard a word
great.
from her
Yeah.
about these sorts of things.
Right.
But what do you think of our junior senator at this moment?
I think that would be a great pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be. It's early, I would say to her face, it's like you just got there to the Senate.
Sure.
But she's getting a lot of attention in the national headlines, and I know
Trump likes to pick off our senators, doesn't he? You know,
Yeah.
he took Sessions, made him AG.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and also, I told this the other day, but I'll tell it again. Somebody texted me at the beginning of the 2022 cycle to fill Richard Shelby's seat. And it was, looking at the polling, Mo Brooks is up by 70 points. He's endorsed by Trump. Somebody texted me, what do you think of Katie Britt? And I'm like, well, I don't know much about her, but she don't have a shot in hell. Pardon me. Look at Mo's numbers. It's got the Trump endorsement. And I'll just say that, well, Mo ain't the senator. Katie is. And I will never underestimate her again. I'll put it that way. So we'll see if she actually ends up Trump's VP. Though I've been saying, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but there's part of me that obviously if somebody asks you to be the vice president of the United States, that's a huge deal. And how could you say no? But then when the guy asking you is Donald Trump,
Is it political suicide?
well, what? I mean, you just don't know. Look,
Yeah.
you have to look in the mirror and go, well, look at what happened to the last VP.
Right.
And him and Pence were tight for 4 years. Everything was golden for the most part.
Right.
But, so you got to, it's a heck of a shoes to step into, whoever's going to be Trump's VP. Now, it could be, who could it be? It could be Vivek Ramaswamy.
Oh, I don't think he's going to play second fiddle to anyone.
Yeah.
No. He's got too big of an ego to be second.
Well, he was out there on the trail with Trump.
Yeah.
So people are saying, look at Trump's actual face during this video. Let me see if I can find it here. This was in New Hampshire where they're kind of, giving the usual stump speech Trump is. And then all of a sudden Trump's like, well, let's welcome up this guy. He's a real rock star. He's a dynamo. And he's, of course, talking about Vivek Ramaswamy. So I always said the same thing, Madeline. Vivek doesn't want to play second fiddle to anybody. Yeah. But as soon as you see these two together, I'm like, there's some chemistry there.
There's no doubt that they're a dynamic duo. I just know that early in the race, he said he would not entertain the VP spot. But, we all say things.
That.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So,
Trump accused Ted Cruz's dad of killing JFK,
right,
using a National Enquirer article to do it.
What was it, the Zodiac Killer?
Yeah, that Trump didn't start that one. That was just the internet.
Okay.
But Trump definitely played into it. But here's Trump, and this is a Trump Vivek moment. Let's see if we can catch the chemistry here.
I'm sure long beyond that. Vivek, please come here. Vivek Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy.
He's going to have to work on that pronunciation.
I love you back. It's good to be back here. We will speak the truth and get this done. We are in the middle of a war in this country. It's not between black and white or even between most Democrats and Republicans. It is between those of us who love this country and a fringe minority who hates the United States of America and what we stand for. Between the permanent state and the everyday citizen. And right now, we need a commander-in-chief who will lead us to victory in this war. That is this man standing right here. If you want to seal the border, vote Trump. If you want to restore law and order in this country, vote Trump. If you want to defeat the deep state, vote Trump. If you want to fight inflation, vote Trump. If you want to revive national pride in this country, vote Trump. If you want to revive our national identity in this country, vote Trump. If you want to make America great again, vote Trump. That's how we're going to win this in a landslide in November, like Reagan delivered in 1980. That's what we're going to deliver, and Donald Trump is going to deliver this November. Reunite this country. You guys do your part. Come out on Tuesday night. End this primary right here. Off to defeat Joe Biden in November. And our best days as a nation are still yet ahead of us. Vote Trump, and that's how we do this. God bless you and your families and our United States. Vote Trump.
Man.
I mean, I'm fired up. Are you fired up?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Vivek, we love him. Dynamo. He's a dynamo.
He's a dynamo.
You know, Vivek has even picked up on Trump's hand mannerisms. Have you picked that up? Yeah. I mean,
But did you see Trump's face? Like he was beaming, but it would get brighter and brighter every time they said vote Trump. Trump's like, oh, I like
it stands
this.
a little taller.
Yeah, good job, Vivek. So are we assuming here, jumping into this VP conversation, just you and I assuming, are we assuming that Nikki Haley is not going to win much anything tonight?
I mean, I hope not.
You're not a fan of Nikki? Yeah, I'm not a fan either. Yeah, I think she is kind of that bought and paid for middle of the road. I mean, I don't know anything about her personally necessarily. I mean, you see the reports and stuff. But honestly, when the politics goes into dirty pool in people's personal lives, sometimes it's fair game. You're a public figure and you're presenting yourself in a certain way, but it's also, it just gives me kind of like the ick factor. I don't like talking about people's infidelity.
The Democrats tend to love her. So that gives me a little pause, right? If you're running for the Republican nomination, why are you being cheerleaded by the Democratic Party?
Exactly right. And apparently Nikki got a little testy with Fox and Friends, and it's usually, Ducey or Brian Kilmeade that get people worked up. But in this case, it was Ainsley Earhart, I think is her name.
Yeah.
And, let's listen in together. That's at least how this was billed
to be
here.
Accurate and give the facts. The facts are that Donald Trump beat you by 30 points in Iowa. Now in New Hampshire, the facts are that you were down in the polls. These are the polls. We know polls can be wrong. If you don't win today, do you go on to South Carolina? And I'm from South Carolina, and we love you there. We love Tim Scott there, but Donald Trump is also loved there. You don't want to go into your state and lose that state if you stay in the race, because we'd love to see you in some other capacity down the road. What is your response to that? Do you get out if you lose today?
No, I don't get out if I lose today. I mean, first of all, again, I'm going to say this. We've had 56,000 people vote for Donald Trump, and you're going to say that's what the country wants? That's not what the country wants. We're going to have New Hampshire vote today. They deserve to have the power of their voice said.
No, I'm not dropping out if I lose today. Okay. I don't believe you.
Yeah.
And that's how so much politics is coming down. It's like, I don't believe you at all. Trump lied. Yeah, they all lie. Grow up. When do you live in a cotton candy house?
Right.
You're like, yeah, they're politicians. But actually, that brings me to, and in a second, I want to hit this break. But I've had a little op-ed out today at 1819 News, Madeline, and it's called Guard Your Heart from Politicians and Never Expect Too Much from Them.
I think that is very well surmised there.
So we'll get into that after the break. But first, this part of the program brought to you by Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings. And of course, Josh and Leslie are ready to help you in pretty much any aspect of when it comes to jewelry. They are a full-service jewelry shop, ready to help you with, of course, a great selection they have, from high-end antique items to that everyday jewelry that looks great, but it ain't going to break the bank, and it's not going to break your heart if you lose it or something. But it's still, something you can wear to a party, go out in the town to the restaurant, and you still look fantastic. But of course, they also do things like spa treatments, cleanings there, stone resetting, maybe a repair of any type, like a watch repair, could be even appraisals, or you might want to look into custom design work. Josh Ryder, that man is amazing at what he can do. He's kind of a combination of a mad scientist and a true artist. If you can dream it, Josh Ryder can make it a reality. Now, you can stop by 119 Brown Springs Road, though they will be out of the office this Thursday through Monday. coming up. So they'll be out Thursday through the weekend and off Monday as well.
I hope they're doing something fun.
Oh, when Josh and Leslie, they're definitely doing something fun. But here in the meantime, especially if you can't stop in like today or tomorrow before they take some time off out of the office, go to Dylan Rings on Instagram or on Facebook, and you can see some of the amazing pieces they have. And for instance, they write, "Real studs give studs for Valentine's Day. Celebrate love with timeless elegance. Our diamond and moissanite stud earrings, starting at $600, are now 35% off until Valentine's Day. Sparkle in this special occasion. Be a stud this Valentine's Day." Yeah, and these are beautiful. Absolutely beautiful right there. Like,
wow.
Really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, and Valentine's is just around the corner, guys.
It
So don't
really
forget,
is.
mark your calendar.
Yeah, don't forget, fellas. Please don't forget. For your own sake, I'm looking out for you guys. But of course, they're Dylan Rings. They're ready to help you in all aspects of the jewelry market. So again, you can always stop by 119 Brown Springs Road or go to DylanRings.com, search for them on Facebook or Instagram. You can always call Josh and Leslie at 215-3669, and be sure to tell them you heard about them here on News and Views in the afternoon. We'll be right back after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
I'm at Miss Dot at the Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall, and Dot, we're ready to roll into a new year.
Happy New Year.
Well, tell me what's going on here at Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall.
The booths are being restocked. The hot cider is going. The rocking chairs are here, and there are great sales going on in some of the booths. Really and truly, there's some neat stuff around here. You need to come in and see it.
Shouldn't people plan to come maybe spend some time and find all the treasures here at Eastbrook?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've got some that come in and spend their lunch hour, and they bring their lunch and eat as they shop around, and which is fine with me. But then some come and spend the whole day, and I just love that.
Do you have any events coming up soon?
Anniversary sale will be here in February. Don't know the exact date yet, but listen for the ad. Come shop that day because it'll be a great event.
All right, Dot, give us the hours of operation.
Monday through Friday, 10 until 6. Saturday, 9 until 6. Sunday is 12:30 to 4:30.
That's the Eastbrook Flea Market and Antique Mall, 425 Coliseum Boulevard.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Rich Thomas weather brought to you by Wiley Sanders Truck Lines. Truckers, if you are looking for green grass, contact Wiley Sanders Truck Lines. In business since 1959 and still growing. Call today, 855-777-9785.
Rich Thomas weather. Hi, everybody. Our big temperature turnaround is now very noticeable. Today's high temperature up to about 66. Pretty nice. Risk of showers by this afternoon. Scattered showers around at night tonight. Boy, oh boy, the overnight low temperature down to about 58. Very mild. Tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, high temperature each day in the lower 70s. But it'll be wet and stormy at times with showers and thunderstorms and locally heavy rainfall amounts. And even more storms on Saturday with a high near 70. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Web Bobo with Capital Tractor. We can't say thank you enough to every one of you who have made Capital Tractor one of the largest Kubota dealers in the U.S. It's because of you. We're honored, we're humbled, we're grateful. Kubota and Capital Tractor, Montgomery, Brundage, and Greenville.
The River Region's News Talk Station. News Talk 93.1, WACV. News Talk 93.1.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. My name's Joey Clark, and Madeline Cannon's sticking around.
I'm still here.
Yeah, thank you for hanging out this hour. Really
Thank you for
appreciate
having me. It's always a fun time.
And we got, before we go to my op-ed, Papa B on line one. How you darn, Papa B?
All right, yes. So, the advantages of Ramaswamy as a VP. Boy, that would be a real, well, it'd be a very difficult choice, I suppose. Well, something that would be unusual. That would really be outside of the box. However, I think he would have great appeal to some of the younger voters who, are kind of going Democrat, especially those that are swayed by, say, Taylor Swift or, that kind of thing. Young black voters, natural appeal there, which would be awesome, actually. I want to say it was Harold Ford Jr. Came away after listening to Ramaswamy on the campaign trail. He said he was literally shaking with anxiety. After watching and hearing
Van Jones, yeah.
Well, this is Van Jones. There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was going with Harold Ford Jr., but I thought, well, maybe it was somebody else.
Yeah, I actually think Harold's fairly reasonable. Van Jones, though, other than I like Prince, and Van Jones likes Prince. That's about the only thing I have in common with that.
Can you imagine, though, the fear and angst that Van Jones was feeling?
Oh, yeah.
And why? Because, dear me, here is a very compelling young candidate of color that's really espousing all of the conservative worldview.
And do you remember what
doing it,
Vivek said? Like, after all that came up?
I don't. What did
He was on a stage in Florida in front of, like, that TPSU conference or whatever. And and he brought that up, what you just said. Van Jones was shaking, said it was close to Nazi propaganda. And Vivek goes, oh, Van Jones, just shut the F up. And he didn't say F. Shut the F up, man. So if Van wasn't shaking already, he is now. Like, he said a naughty word at me. What a demagogue.
Man. Van Jones, boy, talk about head fake kind of guy, you want to think that he's kind of reasonable, but then when you see, what he really believes in, he's not. I mean, he's just, 100% in on the Democrat narrative.
Though that description could have been applied to me as well. He seems reasonable, but you look under the surface. Radical. Like,
I thought that was an awesome thing, though, when that happened. Like I said, I couldn't remember exactly. That's the reason I said I think it was Harold Ford Jr. Right. But anyway, nice, excellent. I want to say I'm for it if it happens, but I don't anticipate it. I, speculated yesterday that it might be Tim Scott, which would have its positives. But who knows? It very well could be somebody like Kerry Lake or.
What do you think of? Because I just brought it up because it's fun. It's our senator in Alabama, but now it wasn't just me. It's now a few people in the National Press Corps brought up Katie Britt for vice president.
Oh, well, that would be good, I guess. I don't know. Hadn't thought about it. That's the problem, isn't it? In some ways, the Republican ranks are spread thin in some areas. Now, Katie Britt's, that would be a safe choice, though, because that that Senate seat would be filled by another Republican.
Right.
So that's interesting.
And think about how that campaign went, where Trump literally called Katie, Senator Shelby's assistant is now in the race for some reason. Like, and she didn't respond in kind with like, oh, no, she responded kind of like you would hear Vivek respond or so many folks like, okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to keep working hard. And I think she also made those very like one-on-one sit-down visits, no cameras, no microphones around. You and that other person connect, and even though you disagree, you're man-to-man, so to speak, for lack of a better term, man-to-woman in that situation. Yeah. I think that goes a long way behind the scenes. I think that's a mistake Ron DeSantis made. He didn't talk to Trump at all about running against him. So,
right. Well, anyway, now Katie Britt, I mean, for the longest time, I viewed her as more of a centrist than a Republican. I do definitely see where she likes to play both ends against the middle type thing. But now this Gaza event has shaken her up. What happened in Gaza has really brought home to bear
And the border.
realities of what we're up against.
Gaza and the border. Yeah.
Absolutely, no doubt. So maybe, maybe she's changing her mindset to be more a little strong-willed against the foolishness that, she otherwise would put up with. So we'll see what happens, but interesting to speculate as usual, always. All right, Mr. Joey, well, thank you so much for letting me climb up on my little soapbox here.
Well, appreciate you as always, Papa B.
All right, talk to you later.
272-9228 if you want to jump in on the program. But, speaking of all this love and hate of politicians, because there's a fine line between love and hate. Isn't it true the people that you love the most have the special, unique ability to piss you off the most, too?
Sure, because they're typically the people who are the closest to you.
Right. And so if it's some rando says a thing, who cares what they said?
Right.
Like, go away, weirdo. But if it's like your husband or your wife or your brother or your mother or your dad, whatever, and they say a thing, you're like, hell, that was kind of hurtful. Like, how dare you?
Right.
So there's that fine line there. And I guess my point of view here, folks, is don't fall in love with politicians. Like, you can support people. You can look at who might be best for your situation, for the country's situation. There's all sorts of different ways you can go about the voting. But don't fall in love with them. And, we begin the show pretty much every day with this line. It's how I begin this op-ed from H.L. Mencken.
After damning politicians uphill and down dale for many years as rogues, vagabonds, frauds, and scoundrels, I sometimes suspected, like everyone else, I often expect too much of them.
This is my 5th national campaign season to witness firsthand. Now, I have vague memories of like Bob Dole and Bill Clinton, like in the 90s, some vague memories of Bush v. Gore and all that stuff. But
We were still really young, though.
you're right. I don't even really remember Kerry, Bush, and that whole thing. Like, I kind of have vague, but the first election I was able to vote in was 08.
Mhm.
So I believe this is my 5th national presidential campaign season to witness firsthand. And I must confess that I've developed a tradition at the outset of every presidential election cycle. Every 4 years, I make a quiet promise, I guess it's not so quiet now over the radio, to myself to remain as detached as possible in my support for anyone for president. In essence, don't fall in love with politicians. This has always been an easy promise for me to make and keep, as I have always been long been disposed to a particular desire I suspect is forever destined for disappointment, that no one will be president. Man is not fit to rule over man, even the man duly elected by his fellows to much fanfare. I genuinely believe this. But I still vote, and I do so dispassionately and reluctantly. Voting should be treated as a stoic duty at best, not some torrid love affair or romantic adventure. Consider me akin to those 2 old men from the Muppet Show, Statler and Waldorf, up in the balcony, there in the theater box, watching the American political arena. I'm not happy with what I see. I find it all so frustratingly absurd, but I still show up on election day in my usual curmudgeonly way. I'm genuinely a disinterested party when it comes to supporting one presidential candidate over another. There is a world elsewhere, even if only a world of internal exile, much more beautiful and enduring than presidential politics. But despite my aloof pose and anarchic dispositions, I do love my fellow Americans and hope to see this dear nation of ours flourish. I have hope for America's future, that she will serve as a beacon of liberty for all the world to emulate. Dare I say, I would love to see America made great again. Yet since I'm not a diehard supporter of Donald Trump or Joe Biden, consider me a neutral third party, a wise fool here to serve you, the people, as a fellow traveler, providing counsel come what may. From this neutral place, with love for you and contempt for political ambitions, I feel obliged to advise those of you in love with any given presidential candidate this 2024 election cycle, please guard your heart. I don't expect many of you to follow my advice. That's the thing with being in love. It turns us absolutely dense, quick to play fast and loose with the truth and our well-being. Love, even when worthwhile, is never without its agonies. When one is in love, writes Oscar Wilde, one always begins by deceiving oneself. And one always ends by deceiving others, and this is especially true of the love between the politician and the crowd. Crowds of all stripes are notoriously more idiotic and immoral than the average person. But a crowd head over heels in love with a political leader, well, such a throng is usually downright dangerous, deceptive, and dim-witted, despite the intelligence and talents of the individuals who constitute it. Crowds give us the cover we need to act like total imbeciles, and democracy gives us a pass to act like petty tyrants. The crowd's collective responsibility under democracy is really no responsibility at all. There's too much moral hazard built into the system whereby all claim to take the blame without ever personally doing so. Nevertheless, one by one, the citizens fool themselves each election cycle that a certain politician will be a president not only representative of their interests, but also worthy of their love and undying support. Their tragedy is usually getting what they want. Again, I'm not asking you to support Trump or Biden, but to check your expectations. The most hopeful hearts break the hardest and aren't easily mended. If you choose not to heed my advice, that's your right. But that brings us to the tragic moral of most political love affairs. Put simply, the government is the problem. And if you expect politicians to remedy that problem, then you expect too much of them. We are not the government. The government is not us. Government is something wholly separate from us, and as much as we would like to think we can control this wild elephant by hopping on its back and tugging at its ears, this Goliath, this behemoth, is much more prone to trample upon our livelihoods and liberties than ever protect us, no matter who we may choose to ride on top of the beast. I suppose we must have a president, but I will never fall in love with one. So as you go forth this election year, use your independent mind and let your voice be heard. But also remember to guard your heart and lower your expectations. Again, 272-9228. And if you want to read that for yourself and share it with some of your friends, I doubt. And this is one I wrote it, and I'm like, this isn't going to be popular. I'm telling people to calm down. Don't get so lathered up over this. But Joey Clark on 1819 News. Guard your heart from politicians and never expect too much from them. I mean, I'm not off base, am I?
No, I don't think so at all.
Yeah, it's just you can like people, but be careful.
Yeah.
Like, we're not electing a dad or a mom.
Yeah.
Thank God we're not. And I'm trying to see, let's see if there's any breaking news while we've been chatting. Let's see here. No, nothing breaking new. I guess the voting's ongoing in New Hampshire. Not seeing anything there. Let's check local politics there at 1819 News. Still that story. Yeah, they picked a good picture for that one. Oh, did you see that Jarek Wilkins got a big endorsement? He's running against Gary Palmer. Jarek Wilkins running the 6th district, which is Elmore and Autauga counties in the 6th district now. He just was endorsed by Michael Flynn.
Oh, wow.
General Flynn.
That's a big endorsement.
That is a big endorsement for Jarek. Both Senators, Britt and Tuberville, are celebrating National School Choice Week this week. Quote, there's nothing more powerful than a quality education. And then one story that really has legs on 1819news.com is something I did not know about until I read this write-up from a great fellow named Caleb Taylor. Most Alabama small business owners, paying attention?
I'm listening.
Most Alabama small business owners will be required to share ownership information about their companies or risk being subject to civil and criminal financial penalties or imprisonment under a new federal law. The new requirement is known as the Corporate Transparency Act. That was part of the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021, passed on January the 1st, 2021, and went into effect this January 1. The law doesn't apply to any entity that employs more than 20 full-time employees, filed a federal income tax return reporting gross receipts exceeding $5 million, and has an operating presence in the United States. Therefore, most of the burden to disclose ownership information to the federal government will fall on smaller businesses with fewer than 20 full-time employees and $5 million in sales. A list of other narrow exemptions can also be found, and it's linked in the story. Information.
So will that also be applied to all the shell companies that the Bidens have?
Good question. Yeah, probably not. I would suspect not. But information that must be reported by small business owners to the Treasury Department's FinCEN department, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, includes the beneficials' the beneficial owner's full legal name, date of birth, residential or business street address, and unique identifying numbers such as a passport or driver's license. A beneficial owner is, quote, an individual who directly or indirectly exercises substantial control over the reporting company or owns and controls not less than 25% of the ownership interest of the reporting company. Secretary of the Treasury Janet Yellen recently said the new information will make it easier for the federal government to detect money laundering. So maybe they will go after the shell corp.
No, they'll be exempt from this requirement, I'm sure.
Yeah, I love, by the way, that money laundering. It's like we're moving around money without the government's permission. When did we ever give up those rights?
And how does the owner's driver's license number play into that?
Right. And I think this is catching maybe not every small business owner by surprise, especially if they have a good attorney, working the back end there, but it's catching me by surprise. This is another intrusion into everyday life. I think I saw Senator Kennedy, John Kennedy, getting all lathered up about this about a year or two ago, saying that this is just wrong. And like they're requiring so much more disclosure, so much more information. And honestly, I think the more information they have, the more crappy justifications they have for stealing more of our money and liberty.
Sure.
So I say starve the beast, but that's just me, folks. Hey, before this break, let's go to line one, see who this is on the phone. You're on there. Who's this?
Definitely enjoy it, Pat. I can answer the young lady's question. I just got in my truck and heard her ask it as you were reading that article.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be exempt because it's more than $5 million.
Ah, yes.
Good point.
I forgot you don't F with a Biden. They got the big time money.
Big money for the big guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a best day.
Thank you, Pat. Again, 272-9228 if you want to jump in. But we got a quick break, and hopefully I'll get Michael Cohen of Cohen's Electronics and Appliances on the line. More news and views in the afternoon. Well, after this.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi, I'm Todd with River Region Contracting, a premier roofing contractor. Most people don't think that they have a roofing problem until they see water spots and stains on their ceiling. By then, it may be a little too late because the wooden decking that supports their shingle or metal roof may be holding moisture, causing it to rot. Most insurance companies will not pay for the decking, causing you to pay more money out of your own pocket. Why not call us today and set up an appointment for a free roofing inspection? It could save you some money. Call us at 334-356-8635 or go to riverregioncontracting.com or like us on Facebook.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368. An equal housing lender.
Live local talk. The River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views. As I subtly dance. And look who's commenting on the live stream, Madeline. It's Eddie Bader.
Hey, Eddie, where you at, buddy?
And Eddie says, Madeline is so informative with 2 exclamation points.
Well, thanks. I'm glad I've got one fan.
He goes on and says, love it when she comes on to give mortgage advice.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, he said he was going to be here today.
He did. He stood us up. That Eddie.
We'll figure something out. But here, before I forget, let's have Michael Cohen, Cohen's Electronics and Appliances on the show here. Michael, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm great. How are y'all?
I'm in a good mood. I'm enjoying life, I suppose. Let's kind of talk about some of the guys who work behind the scenes, who, the technicians you have there on staff at Cohen's.
Well, we're really blessed with the appliance techs that we have. Two of them have been with us for almost ever. They've probably got at least 30 years in. And then I have two of one of their sons that are also working for us, and they've been with us for probably close to 5 years. And they got a lot of training from their dad, and that's what really makes it the best difference is being able to service everything after the sale, because the easy part is making the sale and ringing it up. The harder part is keeping it working and servicing it, and especially with all the protocols that the manufacturers have today. We've just really been blessed with our appliance techs.
And by appliance, you mean this could be a fridge, this could be washer, dryer, anything you sell there.
That's right. That's right. All of the appliances, they come to your home and repair. And, they just do an excellent job. And 99.9% of everything can be repaired in the field. So that's another advantage that we have.
Yeah, folks, when you go with the big box store or some other way, you're not going to have that support going forward. And everybody knows these are big ticket items. When you put money in to say something like a new fridge, you want it to work. And that's why I believe y'all say there at Cohen's, you deliver confidence.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's a lot of the not fun stuff that you have to do to be able to get the repeat business from the customers. And we talked about this the other day. There's so many times that we have customers that just call us up and they have the confidence that you're going to sell them the right thing, and they don't even have to come in and look at it or touch it.
Right.
I need a blank. What do you recommend and why? And you tell them, and then the next thing you know, you're sending out a new washing machine or a new refrigerator. And it's all a tremendous trust with the customer and us, as well as with us and the customer. And, that's what's allowed us to be in business for 60-plus years.
That's what I was about to say. And, folks, you can always check out Cohen's at thinkcohens.com or call them at 277-8890. But I really encourage you to stop by. Get to know the team there. They'll help you through a purchase. And, again, support after the sale. It's there on the boulevard still, 2515 Eastern Boulevard?
Yes, sir. 9 to 6, Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. We just want you to come by and ask us some questions. Let us ask you, and let us help you make the right choice for whatever your needs are.
Well, I appreciate you as always, Michael. We'll talk again tomorrow.
All right. Y'all have a good day.
Too. Now, we're running out of time here in this hour, and Caroline Dobson is going to be here any moment now. That might be our guy going to get her at the front door. But it's great seeing you. It really was, Madeline.
I enjoyed my time with you as always.
Yeah, and I'm happy that you got into the politics with me a little bit here today.
Yeah, you pulled it out of me. I try to stay neutral on the airwaves, but here we are.
Here we are. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to be, I tried, like I said in my op-ed, I have a neutrality internally. At the end of the day, doesn't matter who wins, I'll be all right.
Mm-hmm.
I have my preferences, but I'll be all right. But I don't think anybody's truly neutral. Everybody will be demanded to speak up for who they actually are going for this time around. And, man, buckle up, because 2024, we ain't even done with the first month yet.
That's right.
Well, appreciate you as always, Madeline.
Thank you.
Y'all stay tuned. We'll have Caroline Dobson on the other side of this break after this.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley says she has no intention of dropping out of the New Hampshire primary. out after that primary. Meanwhile, Donald Trump aiming for a commanding victory in New Hampshire, securing a sweep of the first two GOP primary races and making a November rematch with President Biden more likelier than ever. A divided Supreme Court is allowing Border Patrol agents to cut razor wire that Texas installed on the U.S.-Mexico border while the lawsuit over the wire continues. The justices, by a 5-4 vote, granted an emergency appeal from the Biden administration, which has been in an escalating standoff at the border with Texas. Stocks remain mixed. The Dow is down 133 points, but the NASDAQ is ahead 16. This is SRN News.
The new FedNow system is paving the way for the digital dollar. It grants the government unprecedented access to your financial transactions. This isn't just an invasion of privacy. It's a direct assault on your liberty and hard-earned money. It's another reason why I recommend physical gold IRAs from the Birch Gold Group. I'm Lance Wallnow. I'm a news analyst and a podcaster with nearly 25 million downloads to people just like you who cherish their financial independence. A precious metals IRA can help you avoid the scrutiny of Big Brother while also preserving your retirement savings through almost anything, including economic crashes, political instability, and even hyperinflation. To find out more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word FAITH to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and see how a gold IRA can help you. Text FAITH to 989898. Remember, there's no strings attached. Text FAITH to the number 989898 right now, and I pray you're blessed with continued prosperity.
Weather is brought to you by the Johnny Adams Law Firm. I'm Johnny Adams, your Alabama personal injury attorney with the Johnny Adams Law Firm. Stay weather alert all day long with the Rich Thomas Weather Network.
Hi, everybody. Our big temperature turnaround is now very noticeable. Today's high temperature up to about 66. Pretty nice. Risk of showers by this afternoon. Scattered showers around at night tonight. Boy, oh boy, the overnight low temperature down to about 58. Very mild. Tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, high temperature each day in the lower 70s. But it'll be wet and stormy at times with showers and thunderstorms and locally heavy rainfall amounts. And even more storms on Saturday with a high near 70. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
CB&S Bank has a long history of stability and a legacy of serving our community's needs for generations since we began in 1906. At CB&S Bank, we're here for you. All loans subject to credit approval, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
1819 News.
Both of Alabama's U.S. senators are coming out in support of school choice during this National School Choice Week. Senator Tommy Tuberville posted on social media that school choice empowers parents, not the government, to determine their child's educational future. And Senator Katie Britt released a video to her social media account.
School choice means educational freedom. It empowers families to make important decisions that help their children grow, achieve, and secure a bright future. Every student and every family situation is unique. And there is no one-size-fits-all answer to what works best for every student's education. This week, let's recommit to putting parents back in the driver's seat.
I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Are you enjoying 1819 News? If so, consider joining 1819 News as a member. As a nonprofit news organization, we depend on the support of Alabamians like you. Memberships start out as little as $5 a month, and you'll get access to exclusive content only offered to our members. You'll be supporting independent journalism done by people who cherish Alabama values. Become a member today by visiting 1819news.com and clicking Become a Member. That's 1819news.com and click Become a Member today.
A fire chief in the town of Linden has been arrested for a second time in less than 10 days. Denson Bainham Jr. was first arrested last week for theft of property and fraudulent use of a credit card. Bainham Jr. is now facing additional charges from the Alabama State Fire Marshal's office for interfering with public safety communication. More details on this case have not yet been released. A Baldwin County Sheriff's deputy was arrested in Pensacola, Florida, and charged with grand theft auto. Following that arrest, the deputy was placed on unpaid leave from the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office. The name of that deputy is not being released. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Introducing the future of construction. Southern Steel. Strong, durable, and built to last. From towering warehouses, pole barns, and barn dominiums to manufactured metal roof panels, Southern Steel has you covered. Save time and money with quick turnaround and enjoy unmatched protection against the elements. Whether you're a business owner seeking efficiency or a homeowner looking for peace of mind, visit Southern Steel today and build your dreams in steel at 1295 North McDonough Street or 240-2223.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Now, as promised, folks, in the studio right across the desk from me, we have Caroline Dobson. Caroline, good to see you again. How you doing?
Good to see you too. Happy New Year. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited for 2024, though just generally apprehensive as well. It feels like something's going to happen this year.
Well, elections are going to happen this year, so
I hope it's just that.
Yeah,
Just
exactly,
the elections, because
exactly.
there's something in the air these days. But how's the campaign going?
It's been great. You know, I've spent a lot of time in all 13 counties that make up this district, and I've met so many inspiring folks that are, you know, in their communities trying to make Alabama and America better, and it's truly humbling. So I've been so grateful to meet so many great folks here in District 2.
Is there anybody in particular that you didn't know you just met on the trail that's like, and what a character, I'm never going to forget that person.
Well, I probably shouldn't name names, but no, I have also met a lot of characters. And you know, and the kind of takeaway is, you know, even if you're, you know, out in a very rural area, folks are really informed. You know, I think actually it's the folks in cities and, you know, and our age and younger that are, you know, even though we have all this information at our fingertips, you know, we're less informed and more apathetic than folks in Goshen, Alabama, who just, you know, get the, you know, their print newspaper, but they know what district they're in. They know this whole redistricting saga. They know who's running. And so, which does not surprise me, having grown up in a small town. And, you know, we got 3 channels growing up, and we discussed politics at the dinner table, even though you're not supposed to, because it, you know, we stood to lose a lot more than folks. I feel like when you're in a city, you're kind of insulated from, you know, bad policies can hurt, but they can really kill a small town, especially like Monroeville, where I'm from.
Right.
And so anyway, I think folks, farmers and folks in small towns stand to lose a lot more. So they're a lot more informed, which again, I think is important for folks to know, because it kind of goes against the stereotype.
There you go.
You know?
Now, and last time you were on, you told me that you have been working a lot with the SLE Rodeo and
That's
putting a lot
right.
of that together. And I was wondering, I'd imagine if you're going to go for a committee assignment, agriculture committee would be a big one. And it sounds like you already have experience kind of in that world working with folks.
Absolutely. Yes. No, you know, grew up on a farm. My family's been farming for 5 generations since we last spoke. I've had the true honor of being endorsed by the Alabama Farmers Federation, as well as the Texas and Southwestern Cattle Raisers Association and the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. And given the makeup of this district, all of the agricultural and timber interests, I think it's really important that I would serve on the Ag Committee, given that this is a lot of the industry. And then you have, the trucking industry, for instance, is also huge in this district, but is often, interrelated to timber and agriculture. Right. So it's all kind of interrelated there, but I would love to serve on that committee.
That committee, are there any other committees you might be high in?
I'm also interested in the Defense Committee as well. Again, given the makeup of this district, our enemies are outpacing us in the production of military equipment.
Yes.
And this district is key to catching up. We've got Lockheed Martin in Troy. We've got Austal and Airbus in Mobile. And then, of course, we have Maxwell here. So we've got a lot of not only military bases, but also defense industry in this district. And I sadly, I think if you look at the state of the world right now, due to our weak leadership in Biden, we're kind of, in the same sort of situation as we were in 1940, unfortunately, with China, Russia, Iran, Venezuela. We're kind of at that precipice. And unfortunately, I think we have a little bit of an identity crisis as a nation.
Right.
Are we going to stand for freedom? Are we willing to make the sacrifices as a nation that it's going to take to fight for freedom?
Now, what do you make of the recent ventures abroad? Because in particular, the lack of our manufacturing capacity when it comes to defense manufacturing in particular was exposed. Just something as simple as ammunition.
Right.
With this whole conflict between Russia and Ukraine. But what do you make of the current conflicts that are just cropping up everywhere, from what's happening in Israel and Gaza to the wider Middle East to the threat of China and Taiwan, and then again, Russia is still there and everybody being bogged down in Ukraine? What do you make of the current map?
Well, that's directly attributable to Biden and his weak, non-existent leadership. And in some respects, he can't pass a field sobriety test, much less lead the free world. And then we also have Lloyd Austin, who literally went AWOL. And while he was AWOL, we lost 2 Navy SEALs. My heart goes out to their families. So, because we have weak leadership, these foreign enemies feel emboldened to start making moves because they know that we don't have a strong leader. And they also know that our military morale is as low as it has been in my lifetime. And I can't blame the military. They were kind of treated like guinea pigs during the COVID, with the vaccine mandate, and then all of the DEI efforts, instead of focusing on recruiting the bravest and strongest and brightest and really treating them like the heroes they are. Our military numbers are as low as they've been since 1940. So, I think all of that combined is encouraging our enemies to start, making moves, and we don't have a concerted strategy or any sort of unifying leader to combat that.
Yeah, it's been rough to see everything kind of come unglued in the last few years.
Right.
And, Trump was going to be one that started World War III.
Right. Yeah. No, he prevented it and that's the thing about Trump is, he's actually not a hawk. I think he would like to keep us out of conflict, but if they make us push that button, we're gonna get in and get out of there and get the job done. And I really think we can kind of trace all of this to the disaster that the Afghan withdrawal was. I think that, put in full relief to the rest of the world just what a weak leader and ineffectual leader Biden was. And from there, just started to spiral rapidly downward.
Now, would you classify yourself as more of a hawk or a dove, or is there a way maybe to thread the needle there where it isn't a binary thing?
Yeah, no, I think, and I think Republican women are sometimes encouraged to appear hawkish so that we're strong and tough. And I'm not. I refuse to fall into that category. I'm not a dove, but I'm not going to say, oh yes, we should fight just to make me look tough, because we're talking about our fighting men and women out there and their lives, and we're playing with fire. So I definitely think we've got to be the leader of the free world and stand for freedom. But we've also got to do what's best for our country, and and again, recognize all of these players that are making moves internationally, and be aware and be unified in a country and say, are if we want to get involved in Taiwan, are we willing to trade LA for Taipei? You know,
Right. Oh,
or,
yeah.
you know, nuclear war is a real thing. And so I think for me, it's more about kind of waking the American public up and saying, look, like, this is where we are. Where do we stand? How hard are we willing to fight? And are we, like our grandparents, are we willing to go on rations? Or
Right.
are we willing to make all these sacrifices? Because if there's a third world war, it will be a total war, and we've got to be ready for that. So I'm not advocating. I don't want to see us in that situation, but I also don't think we should just kind of curl up and die either.
I agree completely. Now, and again, folks, we're talking to Caroline Dobson. She is a candidate for Congress running here in this brand new district too. I've been preparing because I suppose I wear many hats. To be a moderator for the Alabama Libertarian Party's presidential debate. They have upcoming in February, and I'll reveal one of the questions I'm going to ask them, and it's a good, I think, general question. Just feel where somebody is in politics in the country right now. Why do you think the majority of Americans don't trust hardly any of our institutions? And what I'm thinking of is Gallup polling, that the trend is pretty obvious now. The only institutions above water and over 50% approval are the military. And I don't think they're talking about bureaucracy. They're thinking of the airman, the sailor, the soldier, the Marine in their family wearing that uniform. And then small business is above water. Mm-hmm. Everything else, especially like media, Congress, single digits, we're talking about trust levels. Why do you think there's so much distrust right now in the American public?
Well, with respect to our government, it's certainly career politicians. There are too many of them up there, especially in Washington, trying to fund Washington instead of fix our country. I think the most recent CR vote was indicative of that. As Republicans, we're supposed to be standing for fiscal responsibility, and we can't keep kicking the can down the road. And the thing is, we may have to take a political hit for that. But I think you've got, on one end of the spectrum, truly some types that just want to jump in front of a camera. They're very self-interested or serving their special interest groups. But even the good politicians that have been there too long are so much more focused on their legacy than they are about the future of our kids. And that's why I'm running to fight for Alabama families. If that means, taking an unpopular stance to stand up for conservative values, I'm willing to do that, even if that means that it's going to be harder for me to get reelected but again, I think we've got so many, again, not bad leaders, but so many career politicians that want to, are starting to care, because they've been there so long. Well, what's my Wikipedia page going to read? Or how many social media followers do I have, instead of what's best for the folks of District 2, what's best for our kids? I'm raising my kids here in the district, and it's very important to me that we have opportunities and that our families are safe. And that's, what's going to guide me in Congress and making my decisions.
Well, we got to hit a break here, but when we come back, I want to get into some of the issues. I actually talked to one of your opponents, Dick Brubaker, last week. I want to ask you about this new era we're in on the question of abortion, and where the Republican Party should go since the overturn of Roe v. Wade, and what might be coming in this particular general election in this district, in a very competitive general coming up in District 2. But before I hit this break, this part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services, folks. And they're at Pest Pro Services. Ashley and her team are ready to help you with any pest control emergencies. Maybe the crown molding falls apart like sawdust, like termites, and termites have been there a while. Hey, homeowners insurance doesn't cover termite damage or treatment, so you might as well just go ahead and get the treatment done. Pest Pro has the Terminor HP2 injection unit. They get several feet deep, and they can even lay down bait, so where when the termites hit that bait, they'll know they can take them out, no damage to your home. But if they already have hit your home, they can still take care of them. They're at Pest Pro Services. But it's not just termites, mosquitoes, fire ants. Eddie's been worried about wood scorpions of late. Maybe that's why he's not here today. He saw too many this morning and ran away. What a man. Sorry, Eddie. See, I make fun of him when he's not here. But they can help you across the board. You might as well make Pest Pro Services your everyday pest control company. In the last 3-4 years, they've grown leaps and bounds, folks, hired more people, had to get a new location. It's a true sign of success. It's because they're good at what they do, and they're also just great people, constantly giving back to the local community. So that number, 265-9990, that's 9990. You can always go to ppsriverregion.com or just search for Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces. When you want to know, call a pro. Pest Pro Services, and be sure to tell Ashley and that great team that Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. More News and Views in the Afternoon, well, after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Hi, this is Bo Goodson from the Goodson Group. Have you ever considered turning your home into a rental and build wealth at the same time? People throughout the river region are doing that right now. By investing wisely in the right property or turning your current home into a rental is the secret. Hiring a property manager to professionally manage your property is the way to prosperity. Our company does all of the advertising, personally showing prospective tenants, does a thorough background check and credit report before moving forward. Over 15 critical services are provided to our clients in protecting the asset, but also providing the best residence in your home possible. Collecting rent on time and frequent inspections help landlords feel better about renting their house, and to provide clean, well-kept homes that anybody would be proud to call home. For a complete list of property management services, call Bo Goodson at the Goodson Group at 221-2883 or 551-0225.
For 65 years, Guardian Credit Union has been your trusted financial partner. And now we're proud to extend that trust further by introducing Guardian Insurance Services. Whether protecting your home, car, or even your business, we've got the coverage that fits your needs. Our team is here to guide you every step of the way with the personalized service you know and love. Call 334-819-7555 for a free quote today. Guardian Insurance Services, building on 65 years of trust, now safeguarding your future.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com. This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
On FM, on your smartphone, and online, the River Region's most trusted voice, News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back to News and Views in the Afternoon. Again, in studio with me, we have Caroline Dobson. She is a candidate running for Congress. And this is your first time running, for folks who don't know, like you've never jumped into politics before.
That's right. That's right. No, I'm not a career politician, new to politics, but it's, again, it's been a very humbling and inspiring, exhausting experience, but very grateful for it.
Well, that's awesome. Now, I tease the audience here on the issue of abortion. It's still, despite the historic overturn of Roe v. Wade, it's a massive issue, I think, of the nation still. Where do you land, especially on the question of should this be a state function regulating this, or should there be a single federal standard?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess as a disclosure, I'm pro-life, I'm Christian, and especially being a mother just made me realize, what a miracle life is and how precious life is, and it should be protected. I think we need to address the issue of abortion with compassion and common sense. and consensus. And the Dobbs court, rightly decided that there is no constitutional right to abortion and that it is a states' rights issue. And the people of Alabama have spoken. I stand with the people of Alabama. What I do get tired of is, the mainstream media wanting to paint pro-life people as extreme when you actually need to look at some of these, pro-choice states that it's, they're wanting to abort babies the minute before and the minute after birth. Right. In 2019, the Born Alive bill in the Senate, the United States Senate, it was basically a bill just saying that if a child is delivered alive for any reason, it's entitled to medical care. Basically, the Hippocratic Oath extended to a newborn. All but 2 Democrat senators voted against that bill. And it's like, how do you rationalize? So it's, again, it's kind of like, who's extreme here? Right. so that, again, I get sort of, in so many ways, get tired of the mainstream media. And again, that's your point earlier about the lack of trust in the media. I think it's just compared to when we were growing up, even, which I like to think was not that long ago. We've got so many more sources of media, but so few that are trustworthy anymore. Each preaching to the extremes.
Oh yeah, it's definitely become siloed or bifurcated.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it makes it harder to kind of weed through what's actually news. And that's what's been, interesting running as a candidate is, how do you effectively get your message to folks? And I'm so grateful for radio right. because, I feel like people can actually hear my voice, but, where do people watch the news? Do they get it from their phone? Do they watch it, cable or local TV? It's really been, I've learned a lot more about media than maybe I ever wanted to know running in this race. But
we are odd people, especially us radio people.
Well, I'm grateful for you radio folks, because again, I feel like it is one of the true avenues where you can hear my voice and it's not been manipulated or changed around. So I'm grateful for you radio folks.
Now, quick clarification, just speaking for myself, I still haven't grown up. I'm still growing. I'm still going through that maturation process, and I often fail here on the radio airwaves. But so in a general election, do you expect abortion, say you get the nomination here in District 2, do you expect that to be a big issue coming from the Democrat opponent in the general?
I think given just the state of the world right now, I mean, we truly have a crisis on the southern border. And then, our economy is in shambles and opportunities here. Again, I think, especially with respect to the issue of abortion, and it's a states' rights issue, and the people of Alabama have spoken. So again, I think that we're going to see a lot more about security and opportunity, and also maybe abortion in the context of just faith in our country. I really think Christianity is under attack. And again, back to what we were talking about earlier, if we are going to kind of be on the precipice of a third world war, and we're teaching our children that America's founded on evil principles, and that people are born being the oppressed and born being the oppressor, how can we ever hope to unify? And we're never going to all see eye to eye politically, but how can we ever hope to unify and fight for freedom and fight for America if we're trying to indoctrinate our kids that America's evil? And so that's one thing that we have to fight against.
Well, and I think you're right in the sense of, one, I've been kind of starting with the issues they're important to me, but foreign policy isn't the main concern. You're now seeing out of exit polling, particularly in Iowa, abortion isn't even the main concern. It is in those state elections that we saw in the last cycle. But you've hit the nail on the head about the economy, in particular inflation, and the border. And that's definitely in the news right now, especially the showdown between Texas and the feds. So when you see what's going on the border, I mean, I don't even have a question.
Right. No,
the border. I'm Chris Matthews all of a sudden.
Right. No, it is it is a national disaster. I mean, it is an invasion. We are being invaded. And I was so disappointed in the Supreme Court decision. I mean, here's Texas. They put up razor wire. It's not, they're not hosing people down. They're not, they just put up a very visible barrier to try to protect the sovereignty of their state. I mean, every state's become a border state, but especially Texas is right there on the front lines. 8 million illegals have come in during the Biden administration. I mean, it is a true crisis. And aside from the drugs and the crime and the terrorist cells and the, enemy militants that are streaming across the border, it's just from the social services perspective, we cannot withstand that influx of people on our social services. We are going to collapse if something is not done. We've got to send everyone home. We've got to complete the wall or barrier. Again, some people, well, what about Big Bend National Park? Well, we've got the technology to build smart barriers where it's just infeasible or impractical to actually have a physical barrier. And then we've got to enforce the stay in Mexico policy. And also, I think we need to have more developed foreign policy towards our neighbors to the south. United States was not intended to be, a repository for all the refugees from every failing country in Central and South America. And, sadly, I can count on one hand the number of countries in that region that, that are on the rise, that are doing well, where democracy is flourishing. So I'm not saying that we intervene in all these countries, but I think, we've got to kind of try to address the root of the problem, try to hold Mexico accountable for just letting their country be totally run by the cartel. And so, I have, see liberal classmates of mine that you're saying, oh, give me your tired, give me your poor, the Emma Lazarus quote on,
On the Statue of Liberty, yeah.
Right. And you're like, that's a beautiful poem, but that's not a governing doctrine of ours. That would be like using Top Gun to make our military decisions. So again, I mean, my heart goes out to refugees. My heart goes out to people that want to have a better life for their children. But we can't just, open the floodgates or collapse.
As you were answering that, I think it's a very good answer, but it got me thinking about the border is a perfect example of a problem and a crisis that, if they're actually getting the outcomes they intended when they implemented these policies, is it really a problem? Or is it that, we made a mistake, all these people come in? And I'm not just talking about the Biden administration. This is multiple administrations, Republican, Democrat. I think it goes all the way back to the broken promise with Reagan in the 80s, where he gives amnesty, the border isn't secured. And it seems like, the border is just one big example of this, that we don't solve problems anymore. We manage problems now.
We kick the can down the road. We put Band-Aids on the problems. And that's why I think, again, in the next 10 years, there's going to be a huge generational shift in power. And we need people to our age to step up and try to take action and try to actually get to the root of some of these problems. And, I'm sure we will fail in some areas, but in others, that's the only way to fix some of these problems, is to actually get to the ultimate source instead of just putting Band-Aids on the issue.
Now, why do you think, though, there is this? Because if you ask me what's the problem, that's the sort of abstract way I would put it, is that we have a bunch of managers that lack a vision. And in fact, they get paid not to solve the problem. They get promoted not to solve the problem. It's not that you make a good impact. It's just that you make an impact, and DC loves that. So, have you seen this in the business world, or do you think I'm, off base here? But that seems to me like, the more I look at how major institutions are run, why they're not trusted, that seems to be the issue.
No, you're exactly right. And, I feel like I've gotten some comments. So I'm a transactional real estate attorney, commercial real estate attorney by trade. And I've gotten some raised eyebrows. Oh, well, you weren't a litigator. Why are you running? Mostly litigators go into office. Well, there's certainly some skills that translate from litigation to talking, arguing. But, in my profession, I don't get paid if I don't, deliver results to my client. I've got to get a deal done. And I mean, certainly there have been times where it's just like this other party's being unreasonable. This is not good. But 95% of the time, I'm having to navigate, a tricky negotiation for my client, and they expect me to deliver a result. They expect a closing. They expect the lease to get signed. So I think also it's kind of, unfortunately, I think politics attracts a lot of the people that want to just kind of beat their chest and argue and, flamboyant types, whereas, some of the more, back office attorneys like me, to like stand up for what I believe in, but otherwise keep my head down and work. I think we need more of that in DC.
Now, I got to hit another break, but when we come back, kind of leaning on your experience, for instance, when we talk about the larger economy, there's so many different ways we could go about this, different angles. But one headline I saw is like just home sales worse in 28, 29 years. Mm-hmm. Commercial real estate, I keep seeing all these ominous headlines from all sorts of places. Like, it doesn't, as much as the Biden administration keeps trying to put lipstick on this pig, like, what are you doing to that pig then, man? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go into Creepy Joe there. But it seems like the things are not going well when you kind of take the pulse of different benchmarks, and we can get into the economy. After the break.
Average mortgage payment has doubled in the past 3 years. So it's, that's the truth. That's the truth.
There you go. But for this break, this part of the program brought to you by Montgomery Men's Health. And hey, fellas, two things affect us the most as we mature. I'll say it. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not talking about me. I'm just saying other guys. Erectile dysfunction and low testosterone. It's nothing to deny, put off, or be ashamed about. And it's not something to wait to get fixed. I know fellas don't like going to the doctor. I don't. But Montgomery Men's Health was created to take care of guys just like us. So if you notice these symptoms, lack of motivation, energy, drive, always tired, unwanted weight gain, loss of muscle mass, even with you working out, decreased sex drive, or could just feel like you're walking through a fog in life, you're listless. Well, those could be affected in particular by low testosterone. Urologists are even suggesting men should start getting their testosterone checked at the age of 18 because it's happening even at younger ages. Happens naturally in your 50s or 60s. And you can get informed on this by just one visit to Montgomery Men's Health. They love to educate while also helping you out. So the providers at Montgomery Men's Health will conduct a testosterone-focused lab workup, plus a consultation for only $99. And they have treatments that can truly change men's life. Men can experience higher energy, better gains in the gym, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, faster metabolism. You might even notice an increased libido. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. So call up Montgomery Men's Health today. That's 440-3663. That's 440-3663, or go to MontgomeryMen'sHealth.com and be sure to tell them you heard about him here on News and Views in the afternoon. That Joey fella sent you. More News and Views with Caroline Dobson after this.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi there, I'm Kim Williams with Alabama Home Mortgage. For years, I've been asking you to call me at Alabama Home Mortgage because there is a difference in mortgage companies. When you call Alabama Home Mortgage, from the moment we pick up the phone, you will hear the difference. We are passionate about what we do. To us, you're not just another applicant. When you call on us, you are trusting that we have your best interest at heart, and we do. We treat our customers like family, and that's why our customers turn into family, coming back to us time and time again. We know you have many options when it comes to mortgage financing, and we appreciate the opportunity to earn your business. We are excited to hear from you. Give Alabama Home Mortgage a call at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com to complete an application on your time. Our passion is just one difference that sets us apart from the rest. It's not just a slogan. Call Alabama Home Mortgage because, folks, there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586 368, Equal Housing Lender.
This is James Jones with Jones Drugs. We've got locations in Prattville, Millbrook, Greenville, and Montgomery, and soon to be Phoenix City. My dad told me once if I wanted the whole world to know anything, to tell my aunt. Well, I don't have my aunt here, but I've got the next best thing, Blue Water Broadcasting. They have helped us grow the Jones Drug family in this area for over 10 years. Thank you, Blue Water.
Radio works. It's as simple as that.
Call us to find out how radio can work for your business. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
When we get a battery, we have self-developed proprietary diagnostic tools. So we talk to it and find the state of health of the battery.
Maria Caballero and I discuss EV batteries, electronic vehicle batteries. Are they as bad as all the myths suggest, or is there another side of the story? Listen to What's Working Saturday noon, or find us online at whatsworkingcam.com.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network is brought to you by Earnest Financial.
If you're tired of losing your money in the stock market, call David Earnest, 334-279-7431. Earnest Financial, LLC.
Hi, everybody. Our big temperature turnaround is now very noticeable. Today's high temperature up to about 66. Pretty nice. Risk of showers by this afternoon. Scattered showers around at night tonight. Boy, oh boy, the overnight low temperature down to about 58. Very mild. Tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, high temperature each day in the lower 70s. But it'll be wet and stormy at times with showers and thunderstorms and locally heavy rainfall amounts. And even more storms on Saturday with a high near 70. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
John Bobo with Capital Tractor. Rev things up in 2024 with Kubota and Capital Tractor. From the #1 rated compact tractor to the #1 selling compact excavator and more, we're powering Alabama. Kubota and Capital Tractor, Montgomery, Brundage, and Greenville.
News happens, you'll hear about it first. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Welcome back. News and Views in the afternoon. Again, in the studio, we have Caroline Dobson, candidate for Congress. And where we left off is the economy. So when you look at the economy and what the government can do, well, it kind of be a two-pronged question. We'll start with the general economy and how to improve things. Then we'll kind of do a focus on this district in a second. But the general economy, what are you seeing out there? What's the problem?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of problems. Where do you start? But I mean, we've got to deregulate. I think we've got an executive branch that's just run amok. Too many agency regulations. We've got to cut taxes. We've got to be energy independent because I mean that's what's driving the cost of our goods. And yeah, our gas prices are down a little bit, but you know, for me as a farmer, it's the diesel, it's the fertilizer costs that are driving up all of the costs. So it's not only that too, but it's, you know, when we're not energy independent, we are actively funding the bad guys. We are paying for Venezuela to invade Guyana. We're paying for terrorist training camps in the Middle East. So it's a matter of national security as well. And then, you know, of course, you know, when we're so dependent on electric vehicles and we have the extreme weather that we had this past week, you know, that's a huge vulnerability. It makes us more reliant on China for EV parts and assemblage. So we've got to be energy independent. And then finally, we've got to balance the budget. We've got to address this debt. You know, $34 trillion. Our interest payments are exceeding our military spending. So it's a combination of all of that, really. We've got to look at it from every angle, and we've got to go on a diet, really, right. You know?
Now, yeah, but that... See, hopefully Americans will learn, because it's always hard to sell somebody on a diet doesn't want to be on a diet.
Right. And no, that's, again, you know, with the most recent CR vote, you know, it's going to take some people that are willing to risk their popularity. You know, our founding fathers, you know, life and my sacred honor. It's like it's going to take someone, a lot of us who are willing to stand up and say, no, we're not going to, keep kicking the can down the road. We have got to cut spending. And hopefully, we can cut all of this, liberal far left, all these initiatives. For instance, Biden, just okayed the spending of $1 billion on electric school buses, so unnecessary and unsafe and unreliable for our American children. So there are a lot of, leftist initiatives that can be cut, but there are also going to be, some things that we have to take a haircut on that aren't going to be popular. And I think, we've got to take a stand, and we've got to address the debt, because otherwise we're just mounting up debt for our children to have to inherit.
Right.
So we've got to think about what we're leaving them. Growing up on a farm, it was ingrained in me very early that we're all just stewards. God's given us all these resources, and we're supposed to make them fruitful, and we're supposed to leave them better than we found them. And I don't think we have enough of that attitude in Washington, D.C. We've got too many, career politicians who are just trying to, again, appease their special interest groups, or, kind of protect their electability, instead of making sure that our country's in a better shape for our kids.
Now, as you travel this new District 2, what do you see as the things, like the priorities for this district? We already hinted at it a little earlier, but good to go over again. What do you think are the assets, and how can we grow this area?
Well, I mean, we're so fortunate in District 2. We've got tremendous natural resources here. The timber industry, it's a huge opportunity. I mean, that is, if you want to talk about sustainability, that is a sustainable industry. And there's never been a greater demand for wood products, although timber owners are getting the same stumpage prices now that they were in the early 90s. So there's kind of a disconnect there. It's really hard for folks in the timber industry to get H-2B workers, migrant workers that come and plant the trees. It's over-regulated. So, on the one hand, we have the southern borders, floodgates are open, but the migrant workers who actually want to come here and make money and plant the trees and go home, that's over-regulated. In fact, in 2022, that program was capped, so we couldn't even get workers to plant our trees. So deregulation is huge. The agriculture industry is also big in this district, the defense industry. And a lot of these also are kind of interconnected with the Port of Mobile, which is also part of this district, and the inland expansion up here to Montgomery. Once the rail line is completed from the Port of Mobile to the extension here in Montgomery, it will eliminate the need for 250 18-wheelers. It will take 250 18-wheelers off I-65, which will be tremendous. I talked to poultry producers, and poultry is a huge economic opportunity here in District 2, and they're dependent on deepening of the Port of Mobile so that they can have more grain supply, a longer grain supply. Right now, they only have a week's worth of grain. So if there were some sort of natural disaster or a labor strike or something, they would be out of food for their poultry really quickly. If we're talking, it comes through District 2. Tuscaloosa has a huge source of metallurgical coal. Again, if the Port of Mobile is deepened, they can directly ship out of the Port of Mobile. So there's a lot of synergy here, actually, that's really exciting. A lot of great opportunities if we can just have leadership and economic policies that allow those opportunities to flourish.
Great answer. And again, folks, talking to Caroline Dobson, we're running out of time here. So one question that it's probably come up on your time on the campaign trail. I don't think it's like I'm trying to ventriloquize somebody else, but I'll put it this way. You look at Congress right now, and person comes from Anna Paulina Luna is a brand new mother up there, for instance. But I'd imagine there are people out there wondering, you've got 2 kids?
That's right. Yeah.
How old are they?
They're 4 and 1. Yeah.
So how do you manage being a mom and also being a member of Congress in that regard?
Yes, no, and I certainly is a challenge, as a sacrifice. Fortunately, I have some great examples. Martha Roby, her kids were the exact same age when she ran for the first time. Senator Katie Britt, she is the only mom in the Senate with school-age kids, and she's doing a fantastic job. And I, I'm so fortunate to have a great support network. My husband, my parents, we've got some great friends and family, and it's really important to me that my kids are raised here in the district. So I would plan on going up to DC, Monday through Thursday, and then utilizing that direct flight,
Right.
because I want my kids raised here with Alabama values. And I also think that the only way for me to truly represent the folks of this district is to be living here, and not become some creature of DC. But at the end of the day, again, it won't be easy, but it's nothing compared to the sacrifices of our military families. If they can do all that they can do, then I can deal with a little inconvenience and maybe a couple of missed ballet recitals, and it's worth it if it means our kids have a better future.
Yeah, and it also, it's like, I know for a fact you're professional, like we're working a lot already. Part of me feels like the question's a little antiquated, but it's also a serious one. I can see people thinking about, I want to spend all my time with the kids.
Right. No. And I appreciate, people, I mean, that's what makes this part of Alabama so great. Is we do have family. Family is so important, and family values are important. So I understand, kind of the concern and kind of empathy about that. But yeah, look, I worked up during 2 pregnancies. I worked after 2 pregnancies. I made partner when my first child was 18 months old. So I'm used to working hard and kind of having to balance that. Again, this will be different, but it's worth the sacrifice.
Now, if folks want to like what they're hearing, want to support your campaign in any possible way, how can they do so?
Yes, no. Well, thanks for listening. So first of all, you can pray for me. that would be huge. And please get out and vote on March 5th. The primaries are coming up, and it's so important that we have a good showing in the primary. You can find out more about me at www.dobson4congress.com. Dobson for Congress on Instagram and also on Facebook.
Well, great seeing you again.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. Thank you so much for having me.
Again, folks, Caroline Dobson, candidate for Congress. And I've been saying, Dick Brubaker, don't you be asleep. Don't you be asleep. And you too, Mr. Albritton. State Senator Albritton, excuse me. Y'all don't be sleeping. We'll be right back.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Hey, it's Lyle from Marguerite's. We all want to wish you a wonderful, happy new year, 2024. We're building all new, beautiful jewelry for you. Of course, we remake things. If you have anything sitting around, bring it in. Let's see what we can do with it. Marguerite's is full service. We have the best jewelers around. We have the best gift wrappers around. We have the best merchandise around. We have the best pricing around. We have the best quality around. But I'm not bragging. We're darn good, though. Come in and see us at Marguerite's. We really appreciate it. Looking forward to a great 2024.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number 1 in the number 2 business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
The premier place the River Region turns to for news, weather, traffic, and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Welcome back to News and Views in the afternoon. Great having Caroline Dobson on the show. 272-9228 if you want to hop in on the program. That's 272-9228. Again, this part of the program brought to you by Dillon Rings. And Josh and Leslie Ryder there at Dillon Rings are ready to help you. Now, pay attention. They are going to be out of the office Thursday through Monday. So if you want to stop by Dillon Rings this week, do it today. Do it tomorrow, but do not wait, especially if you're interested in some custom design consultation with Josh Ryder. The man is a true artist, does spectacular work. In fact, Sky Mosley, who's on these airwaves, long before I even met Josh and Leslie, he went by there, and Josh did a custom, upgrade of his wedding band where it now has diamonds inside. It looks beautiful. I thought it was a class ring at first, and it's more beautiful than anything like that. Really remarkable work. And time after time, when I see these creations by Josh Ryder there at Dillon Rings, I'm completely blown away. If you can dream it, that man can make it a reality. And the cool thing is, say he's going to customize a ring for you, he can actually do that design in a digital format, even put it on a finger digitally, a photo, say, that matches your skin tone, so you can see what it looks like before he actually makes the true physical product and piece of jewelry there. And if you like it, then he'll get to work, and it will be made a reality. He's just that good there. And, of course, at Dillon Rings, they have an amazing selection, all sorts of great deals going on, especially with Valentine's Day coming up, gentlemen. You don't want to forget, with Valentine's Day right around the corner, go check out Dillon Rings. You can always go to DillonRings.com or 119 Brown Springs Road, just off of Atlanta Highway here in Montgomery. And be sure to tell Josh and Leslie that Joey from News and Views in the Afternoon sent you. Let's see who this is on line one. Hello, who's this?
Hey, this is the biologist.
Hey,
you know my wife, Joanne. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
The one thing I'd like for you to ask these candidates is, I firmly believe that the welfare system, the way we have it, leads into the reason we are how we are, because you have too many kids who see their parents not going to work yet. I work 2 jobs. My wife works 2 jobs. We have, we're pretty successful. We work hard. And the welfare system has allowed people to pretty much have a couple kids and never go to work, but yet have an iPhone and food. And I personally believe that this needs to be changed.
Right.
To where you can't use your tax money. You're working right now. You're paying taxes, my tax money, so they can sit down and not really do anything their entire life. And I wish someone would come up with a way to force folks. You got 25-year-old people drinking 40s, not going to work because they don't have to, living in government-funded housing, getting food stamps. And I don't think it's right, because I probably don't need to work 2 jobs, but I do. My wife does.
Right.
And our kids see us working hard every day. I mean, you work hard every day, and we're funding people to sit on their rears in a government house or Section 8 house. So I think that's a question that should be posed. Should we revamp the entire welfare system? Because most people on welfare are Democrats. That's just how it works, because you're getting something for nothing. Am I wrong, or what's your
No,
view
and
on
I think
that?
it creates a cycle of poverty, whether you're talking, inner cities, urban centers, or you're talking, very rural areas of, Appalachia and even parts of this state. I think it creates sort of this perpetual cycle that is not helping anybody. How do you get people off it? Well, some of it's, I think, you just kind of say, this is not right. We're all in the, here's my take. The thought that came to my mind, biologist, is we're all in the same boat. We really are as Americans. At least that's what we're told. But some of y'all ain't rowing. So if we're all claiming, we're all in this together, we're all in the same boat, well, everybody needs to be rowing and doing their part.
Well, in 1986, my mom quit teaching because a kid in 3rd grade at a school that's no longer here in Montgomery, when she said, you need to learn to read and write so you can do a job application, and the kid said, I don't have to learn to read and write. The government's going to give me all my money. That's in 1986. And it's a way when you tell folks, have another kid, I'll give you more money, and you don't have that initiative to want to go. I want to go out and work. I enjoy it, but it's something to keep my mind occupied.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of a mentality that's out there. There are people who are poor, and then there are people who are broke. And the broke folks know how to make more money. I think poor is a mentality, and what you're talking about encourages that, sadly, across the board. But I got to run. I'm running out of time here.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
the call,
Have
man.
a good day, sir.
Let's go to Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. Hey, Ray, how you doing?
Doing good, doing really good.
chair broke, and I had to go home and get my junction chair from my quote little office that's so uncomfortable I can't sit here more than 5 minutes. I've had that chair for 20 years. It's really aggravating.
Daggone, man. I'm sorry that happened.
I know.
Favorite chair.
I am frugal in certain areas, like a chair. You just sit in it, right? And it takes a certain chair to fit you. And then all of a sudden it's gone. And then you realize what you had for 20 years. Sort of like your floors. After 20 years, sometimes it's time to replace them.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like if the 90s is calling you and saying, hey, we really want our floors back, then call us. We can help with that situation. We'll even send them back to the 90s for you, free of charge.
Well, and I was about to say, it's one thing if you've still got the same laminate or hardwood from the 90s. If you have the same carpet from the 90s, that's just gross.
Oh, hey, I still find that shag every now and then.
oh, man.
You're taking pictures like the orange shag. You're like, whoa, buddy, this thing could go in a museum.
Well, when it was installed, it was actually white. It's changed over time.
Yeah. They pull it back and it's sewn together with string instead of carpet tape.
Oh, man. So, folks, if you need that change up, if you've been sticking to something you definitely need a change, Prattville Carpet's got your back. They'll come to you. Free in-home consultation, free in-home measurement. Then you pick out the product you want. You'll know the cost. They'll get it done. That number, 285-8117. And when you call 285-8117, be sure to tell them you heard Ray Bowles on the radio with that Joey fella.
Guys, y'all have a great day.
You too, Ray. So what did we learn today? Oh, we learned that I think we have a very competitive race in District 2 here for Congress. I think we learned that as much as they're trying to put lipstick on a pig, Creepy Joe and them aren't convincing a lot of folks. And we also learned that though Nikki Haley had a great showing in Dixville Notch, I don't think she's even got the juice to win New Hampshire, though. We'll see what happens. The results of the New Hampshire primary. I have a feeling the general election, in terms of the presidency, has begun. Y'all stay tuned. Happy Hour with Greg Budell and Rosie. They're next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's